Why does that person always appear in your mind, even when you try to rest, even when you distract yourself, even when you've said countless times, "I'm done thinking about them"? They still return, like a song on repeat, a name that echoes a memory that won't dissolve. Maybe it's someone you loved. Maybe it's someone who hurt you. Maybe it's someone you never truly had, but your heart still clings to the possibility of them. This is not just your story. It is the story of being human. The mind grasps. It lingers. It circles around unresolved emotion, like a moth to a flame. And so you lie awake at night, heart stirred, brain busy, trapped in a pattern that feels unbreakable. But what if this is not something to fight? What if the very act of trying to stop thinking becomes more resistance and therefore more suffering? Buddhism teaches that suffering arises not because thoughts appear, but because we cling to them, because we feed them, because we believe they mean more than they do. So gently, without force, I invite you to observe this habit of mind, not with judgment, not with panic, but with the quiet eyes of awareness. You are not weak, because your thoughts return to them. You are simply human, but you are also more than that. You are awareness itself. And in that awareness, there is a choice not to shut out the thought, but to see it as it is. A ripple, a ghost, a flicker, just a thought, not truth, not you. The Buddha never said you must silence your mind completely. He simply pointed to another way: see clearly, let go. Gently return to the present. And you are doing that now, just by listening, just by breathing. Right now, as the sound of these words moves through you, notice how your breath rises and falls, softly, naturally, like waves on an ancient shore. The person who keeps visiting your thoughts is not here in this room, but your breath is. This moment is. This body is. Return to what is real. Not to push the thought away, but to remember that you are not trapped. You are simply dreaming while awake. And every dream can dissolve when met with stillness. So, rest. Let go. Even if the thought comes back, you don't have to follow. Let it pass like a cloud. Float above it like the sky. You are not small. You are not broken. You are the space that can hold it all. Even this, even them, gently, without resistance, without grasping. Just presence, just breath, just being. Breathe in again. Feel how the body receives the air naturally without effort. Feel how the exhale softens the chest. That's what letting go feels like. It's not a dramatic act. It's not a decision you need to fight for. It's just an exhale. Letting go is simply not holding, not feeding, not following. There is great strength in that. The thoughts may come. Let them. They are not chains. You are not bound. You are the one who watches. You are the one who notices. Even now, a little more space opens between you and the thought. Like a breeze between two leaves. And in that space, peace begins to arise. This is the beginning. You are not behind. You are not late. This moment is right on time. You don't have to rush. There is nowhere to get to. There is no mental finish line. There is only this breath, this heartbeat, this stillness. Let your eyes grow heavier now. There's no need to chase any more answers. Your questions have already been heard. The ache in your chest has already been felt. And slowly, gently, the tightness that surrounds your thoughts begins to loosen. You don't need to force healing. You just need to stop clenching. You just need to rest. Rest in being. Rest in not knowing. Rest in the truth that you are loved even in this messy middle, even in the wondering, even in the missing. The path doesn't punish you for looping thoughts. The path simply waits for you to remember. And now you're remembering. You're remembering that you are not the ache. You are not the thought. You are not the person who left. You are not the one who is gone. You are what remains. You are what stays. Even as thoughts come and go, you are here. You are awareness, silent, still, spacious. And that is more than enough. The nature of clinging is not something foreign to you. It's something you've lived through 1,000 times. You've felt it in your body, in your breath, in your inability to rest, when your heart is caught in a loop. Clinging is that invisible thread that pulls your attention back over and over to someone who is no longer here or never really was. It is the way your mind holds onto a smile, a sentence, a moment, and turns it over endlessly, like a stone in a stream. You don't do this because you're broken. You do it because the mind is designed to search for safety, to replay, to make sense. But in the teachings of the Buddha, clinging upadana is the root of suffering. Not because we desire connection, but because we demand permanence from what is by its nature impermanent. You are not wrong for wanting love. You are not wrong for missing what felt beautiful. But the suffering begins when you believe you cannot be okay unless they return. The mind grabs onto that illusion and wraps itself around it like ivy around a tree, slowly choking its own peace. And so, tonight, I ask you to sit quietly with that clinging. Don't fight it. Don't judge it. Just observe. What is it your mind believes it needs from them? Is it love? Is it closure? Is it forgiveness? Is it the idea that you were chosen, wanted, seen? Trace it. Follow it like a gentle stream down the mountain of your emotions. And then pause. Pause at the moment when you realize the clinging isn't about them. It's about you. It's about what you hope to receive and what you now fear you lack. But nothing essential was taken. No part of your soul has been stolen. The truth is, what your mind is clinging to is not them, but a version of yourself you hope to become in their presence. A story that made sense. A future that gave you comfort. And now that story is gone. But you are still here, whole, breathing, capable of meeting the present with open palms. When the Buddha described attachment, he wasn't angry about it. He simply saw it for what it was, a flame that consumes the one who holds it. And so the path isn't to throw away all feeling, but to hold it with tenderness without the need to possess, without the belief that you must fix, chase, or control. You don't have to pretend you feel nothing. You don't have to shut down your heart. You simply have to loosen your grip. That's all. Slowly, gently, like releasing a bird from your hands and watching it fly. You may still long for them. That's okay. You may still dream of what could have been. That's okay too. But let those dreams rise like mist, not anchors. Let them float above the trees and not pull your spirit under the ground. You are not betraying your love by letting go. You are not erasing your past by releasing your need to change it. You are simply choosing to return to this breath, to this moment, to your own life. Feel your breath again. Feel it without resistance. Let it guide you. Let it soothe you. You are not required to win against your mind. You are simply asked to witness it. Over time, the clinging will loosen. The images will fade. The intensity will soften. Not because you forced it, but because everything in nature dissolves when left untouched. And you too will dissolve the pain when you stop feeding it. Let your hands unclench. Let your jaw release. Let your heart expand. What you are experiencing is the path, not a mistake, not a failure. This is your moment of seeing clearly, of knowing the nature of your own grasping. And now you breathe deeper, because something inside you remembers clinging is not your nature. Stillness is. Spaciousness is. Peace is. And it's returning to you now. Sometimes, the mind doesn't cling to the person themselves, but to the unfinished conversation, the unanswered question, the moment you wish had ended differently. You replay what you should have said, or shouldn't have said, or could have said, if only your heart hadn't been trembling. And this is where the pain hides, in the gaps and the spaces where closure never came, where goodbyes were abrupt, where explanations were swallowed by silence. The Buddha understood that closure is not always something the world can give you. Often, it must be made within. It must be something you offer yourself, like a ceremony in the quiet of night, where you choose to stop waiting for someone else to unburden your heart. So I invite you right now to step gently into that ceremony. Light no candles. Speak no grand words. Simply breathe. Let each breath be a letting go. Let each exhale carry away the what-ifs and if-onlys. Not because they don't matter, but because they are not here, and you are. The moment you begin to return to yourself is the moment healing begins. The person who walked away may never explain. They may never return. They may never understand the storm they left behind in your chest. But they are not your path now. Your path is the one under your feet, the one paved with presence awareness, and the small, sacred act of breathing again. The Buddha did not promise fairness. He did not promise that people would act with clarity or compassion. What he offered instead was the refuge of seeing clearly, of not adding to your own suffering by resisting what is already past. The past cannot be changed, but your relationship with it can. You do not have to keep it alive every night, burning it into your memory like a scar. You can allow it to rest. You can allow it to fade. Even if it doesn't vanish completely, you can choose not to fan the flames, not to rehearse the pain like a play you never auditioned for. You can choose peace, and in choosing peace, you return to yourself, slowly, gently, one breath at a time. Sometimes People leave us not because we are unworthy, but because they are walking their own path of confusion. They may be lost. They may be in pain. They may have no idea what harm they've caused. And so, instead of making their silence your sentence, make it your freedom. Don't wait for the words that may never come. Write your own ending. Whisper it to your own heart, I release you. I forgive myself. I begin again. It doesn't have to feel complete. It just has to begin. Each night you do this, the voice in your head grows quieter. Each time you return to your breath, instead of your memory, your nervous system unwinds. This is how Buddhist practice works, not by force, but by repetition, by gentle reminders, by choosing stillness over spiraling. And tonight, you are choosing that. You are choosing to rest, to let the story sleep, to know that your worth does not depend on their return, on their apology, on their approval. Your worth is here now in this breath, in the miracle of your heart still beating, your lungs still rising, your soul still seeking truth. Let that be enough. Let it be everything. The unresolved can remain unresolved, and you can still find peace. This is the paradox. This is the freedom. Not because you got what you wanted, but because you remembered what you already are. And so we sit, we breathe, we let the mind do what it does, and we choose not to follow. We choose not to resist. We simply observe. A thought arises, a name, a face, a flash of pain, and we say to it, I see you. You can pass now. I'm not holding you anymore. Then we return to the rhythm of breath, to the quiet of night, to the truth that even unfinished stories can be closed gently by the one who was left behind. Not because they gave you closure, but because you gave it to yourself. And now the body softens, the breath deepens, and your soul knows it's okay to rest. You are safe now. You are safe with yourself. You are free. There is a moment, quiet and barely noticed, when you stop chasing. Not because you no longer care, but because your heart has grown tired of running after echoes. In that moment, something shifts. The grasp loosens. The pace slows. And for the first time in a long while, you begin to sense what it's like to be with yourself again. No longer holding your breath for a message, a sign, a sudden change. No longer rehearsing how to fix the past or rewrite a future that was never meant to be. The Buddha called this cessation of craving nirodha a cooling, a quieting, a coming home. When you no longer build castles out of longing, when you no longer feed your illusions with what-ifs, you begin to feel the peace beneath the noise. This does not mean your emotions vanish. It does not mean the memories don't return. It simply means they no longer govern you. They no longer dictate your worth, your day, your sense of being. And this space, this is your freedom. You may have thought freedom would look like them coming back, explaining everything, saying sorry, giving you the closure you crave. But true freedom looks like this stillness in your chest right now, the quiet space between inhale and exhale, the gentle surrender to what is rather than a fight with what was. You're not numb, you're awakening. Awakening to the truth that peace was never going to be found in them. It was always in you. You had just forgotten. Because the mind is powerful. It believes if it thinks enough, hurts enough, waits enough, it will gain control over what it lost. But Buddhism teaches control is illusion. Nothing ever belonged to us. Not the people, not the moments, not the futures we imagined. And this is not a tragedy. This is liberation. When you stop trying to own what was never yours, your hands are free to receive what is. This breath, this silence, this sense of being carried by something larger than your thoughts. You are not alone in this. Millions have walked the same aching path. Hearts, broken minds, spinning sleep torn by thoughts of someone else. And yet, all have the same doorway in front of them, the path of letting go. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean denying the love you once held. It means you release your grip on the belief that it must return in order for you to be whole. That belief is a chain. And tonight, we choose to loosen it, bit by bit, gently. With each breath, imagine that chain unraveling, not torn apart, just quietly undone, like smoke rising into the night, like petals falling from a flower, nothing forced, nothing rushed, just the simple act of releasing what no longer needs to be carried. You may still feel them in your chest. You may still hear their name echo in your memory. That's okay. That too can be part of your healing. You don't have to push the thoughts away. You simply have to see them for what they are, thoughts. Not reality, not prophecy, just ripples on the surface of the mind. And the more you sit with them, breathe with them, and watch them float by without clinging, the softer they become. Eventually, they lose their weight. Eventually, they lose their hold. And in that softening, you begin to return, not to the past, but to yourself, to the one who was always here, waiting beneath the waves, the self who is not defined by who stayed or who left, but by presence, by compassion, by the quiet strength that says, I choose peace. Tonight, I invite you to feel that strength in your body. Let your shoulders drop. Let your hands rest gently. Let your jaw unclench. These are not small acts. They are sacred offerings to your own well-being. You are showing up for yourself in a way no one else ever could. You are giving yourself the rest that your longing never gave you. And in that rest, there is clarity. You see that what you were looking for in them was never truly theirs to give. It was always something you were meant to uncover within yourself. Peace, love, acceptance. The teachings of the Buddha are not abstract ideals. They are mirrors, gentle, clear, and constant, reflecting you back to yourself. And what they reveal is this: the end of suffering begins the moment you stop trying to escape the present. Right now is all you have. Right now is enough. Let that be your mantra. Let that be your prayer. I am here. I am safe. I am free to let go. Again and again you return. Not because you are failing, but because this is the practice. This is the path. And you are walking it breath by breath with all the grace you need. You may wonder why your heart keeps aching even when the person is gone, even when months have passed. even when everyone else seems to have moved on. But you still feel it at night, in the quiet, when distractions fade and the truth comes back like a whisper. It's not weakness. It's not failure. It's simply the residue of connection. The mind remembers, the body holds, and the heart replays the tenderness and the hurt. Buddhism calls this clinging, the mind's habit of attaching itself to what it believes brings pleasure or what it believes can protect it from pain. The trouble is clinging is not love. Clinging is fear in disguise. Fear of emptiness. Fear of being alone. Fear of facing the space they left behind. But you don't have to fear that space. In fact, the emptiness they left is not a hole, it is a doorway. A doorway back to yourself, to your breath, to the ground beneath your feet, to the sky above your head. The one who left created a silence, and inside that silence, you now have room to listen. Not to them, but to you, to what still lives in you, to what wants to be seen, healed, accepted. You may notice sadness rising again. Let it. You may feel anger. That's okay. You may feel nothing. That's allowed too. Whatever comes, let it come and let it go. No emotion is final. They move like weather, passing, returning, softening. And each time they visit, you get to practice something new, non-resistance. Instead of fighting the ache, breathe into it. Instead of blaming yourself, speak gently to yourself. Instead of grasping for answers, rest in the knowing that you are allowed not to know. That peace doesn't come from having everything figured out. It comes from not needing to. This is how the Buddha lived, with simplicity, with stillness, with trust in the unfolding of life moment by moment. You are doing that now. Every time you return to your breath, you are embodying that trust. Every time you whisper, "Let go," you are choosing wisdom over fear. The person you think about, they may never know the depth of what you felt. They may never understand the weight they left you carrying. But your healing was never theirs to manage. It is your own sacred path. You don't have to rush it. You don't have to perform it. Just walk it, slowly, softly, as you are. You may carry pieces of them in your memory forever, but those pieces can be laid down one by one. Not discarded, just placed gently on the earth, like petals falling from your hands. You don't lose yourself when you let go. You find yourself, the self that was buried beneath expectation, beneath fantasy, beneath the hope that someone else would complete you. No one can complete what is already whole, and you, dear one, are already whole. You may not feel that way every day, but wholeness isn't a feeling, it's a truth. A truth the mind forgets, but the soul remembers. Tonight, I invite you to rest in that remembrance. Imagine your heart not as broken, but as spacious. Not as shattered, but as open. Let the breath be your anchor. Let the stillness be your teacher. Let your longing transform into presence, into prayer, into the kind of peace that does not depend on outcomes. This is not easy, but it is sacred. And every time you lie here breathing, with what is, you become more free. The one who hurt you may never ask for forgiveness, but you can forgive not to excuse them, but to release yourself. You can bless the past, not because it was fair or kind, but because it led you here, to this breath, to this letting go, to this quiet return to who you've always been beneath the ache. In the silence that follows now, notice your body. Notice how it softens when you let it. Notice how your mind, though restless, begins to follow the rhythm of your breath. And with each rise and fall, remind yourself gently, I am here. I am healing. I am letting go. Not because I have to, but because I can. There is a tenderness in letting go that many never speak of. Not the triumphant kind, not the bold declarations of I've moved on, but the quiet kind, the kind that happens softly in the middle of the night when no one is watching, when it's just you, and the thought of them dissolving like mist. You may not even realize you're doing it at first. One night, their name arrives in your mind and it doesn't pull you under. One morning, you reach for your phone and you don't look for a message that was never coming. The grip loosens without a sound, and it feels both like loss and relief. Buddhism teaches that freedom isn't the absence of thoughts or emotions, it's the absence of attachment to them. That means you don't need to erase the past to find peace. You only need to stop demanding that it be different. The heart breaks when we insist on holding stories that no longer serve our path. But the same heart begins to mend the moment we make space for a new story to begin. You may not know what comes next. You may still feel raw, unsure, tired. But inside you is a wisdom deeper than the pain, a knowing, more ancient than the longing. And that knowing whispers, you are safe now. You have survived the worst of it. The storm didn't take you, it awakened you. Each night that you come back to this practice, to your breath, to this moment, you reclaim a part of yourself that was lost in them. They may have walked away, but you quietly, bravely have stayed. You have shown up for yourself. That is no small thing. The Buddha walked away from a life of comfort and status because he knew that true peace could not be found outside. He sat beneath the Bodhi tree, not to escape the world, but to meet it fully with open eyes and a steady heart. And you, in your own way, are doing the same. Every time you close your eyes and choose breath over rumination, presence over fantasy, you are becoming the one who watches instead of clings, the one who breathes instead of breaks. This is what awakening looks like, not some grand enlightenment, but these small moments of clarity, these gentle refusals to abandon yourself again. So tonight, be gentle with your inner world. Notice the thought if it comes. Smile at it. Don't fight it. Don't follow it. Just breathe. Imagine that thought as a bird landing briefly on your shoulder. You don't swat it away, and you don't tie it down. You simply let it rest and fly away when it's time. That is the dance of mindfulness. That is the rhythm of freedom. There is nothing you need to fix tonight, nothing you need to solve. The mind will try to convince you that peace will come if you just understand why it ended, or what you could have done differently, or if they ever think of you. But the mind's thirst is endless. It will always find a new ache to chase. So come back to what is real. Come back to what is here. This breath, this softness, this moment. Each inhale is a door. Each exhale is a letting go. Let it go, even if you don't feel ready. Let it go, even if part of you still clings. Let it go, not because they deserve peace, but because you do. Peace is not a gift someone gives you. It is something you give yourself, and you are giving it now. Let your body sink into the bed. Let your limbs feel heavy and warm. Let your chest rise and fall with the rhythm of the present. You don't have to think your way out of this. You only have to breathe your way through. You are not your thoughts. You are the one witnessing them. You are not your heartbreak. You are the one who is healing. Trust in the process. Trust in the silence. Trust in the wisdom of the path that brought you here. Even the sorrow has been a teacher. Even the ache had something to show you. And now that you've seen it, now that you've met it with kindness, you can begin to walk forward, not with certainty, but with peace. Not with answers, but with trust. And every night you return to this stillness, you grow lighter. You may not notice it, but your soul does. Your breath does. The part of you that remembers what peace feels like does. So let it hold you now. Let it carry you deeper. You are safe. You are healing. You are whole. There is a moment, perhaps subtle, perhaps silent, when your body begins to understand that it no longer needs to be on high alert. The nervous system, once clenched from days or weeks of emotional tension, starts to soften. Your jaw releases, your shoulders lower. The tension in your belly untangles without needing a reason. And this moment is sacred. You've come so far from that first night when your thoughts wouldn't stop circling. You've learned to return again and again to the breath, to the present, to the softness of now. And maybe for the first time, the thought of them doesn't pierce like a blade. Maybe it drifts in gently and drifts away again without dragging your whole being with it. That is no small miracle. It is the fruit of your inner practice, the result of quietly showing up for yourself again and again without demanding immediate results. The Buddha once described the mind as a wild elephant, difficult to tame, prone to running toward what it wants and away from what it fears. But through steady presence and compassionate awareness, the wildness lessens. And so it is with your thoughts of this person. Each time you notice and return, you are gently guiding the elephant home. Not with force, not with shame, but with loving patience. This is the way. You may still feel pangs of grief, and that's okay. Grief doesn't obey logic or timelines. It doesn't ask for permission to rise. But now, you know how to meet it with breath, with stillness, with deep listening. Sometimes in grief, there is a hidden longing, not just for the person, but for who you were when you loved them. For the version of you that felt alive, open, deeply connected. And that is what you're grieving too, a piece of your own story that feels distant now. But remember, what you loved in them was also a reflection of something in you. The tenderness, the desire, the depth, all of it came from your own heart. And that heart still lives in you. That aliveness is still yours. You haven't lost it. It's simply finding a new place to bloom. So tonight, let's welcome that quiet blossoming. Not by doing anything, not by trying harder, but by letting go a little more. By saying to yourself, I no longer need to carry this alone. Lay it down now. The ache, the question, the memory, let it rest beside you like a cloak you no longer need to wear. Feel your breath arrive like a gentle tide. Feel your exhale carry away what no longer serves. This is your practice now, not to be perfect, but to be present. Not to erase your past, but to hold it in such stillness that it no longer disturbs your peace. Even if they return to your thoughts, you know how to stay grounded. You know how to watch, to breathe, to let go. That is the mastery of the inner path. And with every night, you're becoming more fluent in that language. The language of silence. The language of peace. You are no longer trapped. You are no longer waiting. You are no longer held captive by what was or what might have been. You are here now. And here is enough. More than enough. When your mind reaches out for them, remind it gently. Come back. When your heart tenses with old stories, whisper, we're safe now. When the ache sharpens for no reason, breathe through it like wind moving through trees. Don't fight the pain. Don't chase it. Just let it pass. You are not what you feel. You are the space in which feeling happens. You are not what you think. You are the awareness that sees thought come and go. This is the liberation Buddhism offers, not an escape from life, but a deeper meeting with life as it is, without grasping, without resistance. And here, in the middle of the night, with only the sound of your breath and the softness of these words, you are practicing that liberation. You are becoming the quiet witness. You are remembering your true nature. Nothing needs to change for you to be at peace. Not them, not the past, not even your own thoughts. The only shift required is the one you're already making toward softness, toward presence, toward the deep rest that says, I am whole, I am healing, I am free. There is something profoundly beautiful about the way the heart keeps trying even after everything. How it continues to open even after being hurt. How it still hopes, still dreams, still reaches even in the quiet moments when no one sees. But there also comes a time when the heart begins to understand that healing is not about returning to what broke it. It's about remembering who you were before the breaking. And slowly, gently, that remembering begins to rise in you, like a soft dawn after a long night. You are beginning to feel it now. The sense that you are not defined by what happened, that you are not just the one who was left or hurt or confused. You are also the one who lived through it, who kept breathing through it, who is still here. And that is powerful. Buddhism teaches that nothing is permanent, not pain, not attachment, not even identity. Everything shifts, everything flows, everything is part of a greater unfolding. When you hold on to someone long after they've gone, you are holding on to a fixed idea of something that was never meant to stay fixed. You are holding on to a story frozen in time. But time doesn't stand still, and neither do you. You are a stream, not a stone. You are movement, not memory. And every moment you return to your breath, you return to that truth. It may hurt, yes. The letting go may feel like another kind of loss, but it is not loss, it is release. It is the soft unfurling of a grip that no longer serves you. You may still hear their voice in your head sometimes. You may still feel that pang in your chest. But instead of clinging or pushing it away, you meet it now with a different kind of presence. You say, I see you, I hear you, and I choose not to follow. That is the shift. That is the freedom. In Zen, there is a saying, let thoughts come and go. Just don't serve them tea. And you are learning that now. You are learning how to host your feelings without being consumed by them. How to welcome your memories without making them masters of your mind. You are learning to sit in the quiet without needing noise to fill the space. And in that quiet, something extraordinary happens. You start to hear yourself. Not the voice that begs for answers. Not the voice that replays every conversation. But the deeper voice. The still one. The one that whispers, you're okay now. You don't need them to feel whole. You never did. That belief was a mirage, a trick of longing. But the truth has always been here. In your breath, in your body, in your quiet willingness to face the night and stay. You are no longer trying to escape the pain. You are allowing it to teach you. And in doing so, you are becoming wiser, softer, more open. Not broken, transformed. This is the alchemy of healing. Not a return to the past, but a rewriting of the future with new eyes, new breath, new being. So tonight, let the breath lead you. Let it show you how to soften without falling apart. Let it remind you that presence is always enough. You don't need to be further along. You don't need to be perfect. You are exactly where you need to be. On this path, in this stillness, with this breath. The past may still echo, but it no longer controls you. You are choosing something different now. Peace over control. Surrender over struggle. Awareness over obsession. And that choice, repeated gently, becomes freedom. Each breath is a step. Each exhale is a letting go. Each moment of stillness is a return to your own center. Let them go, not with bitterness, but with grace. Not with anger, but with love for yourself. Let them drift like a leaf in the river, and keep walking. Keep breathing. Keep choosing presence, because presence is power, and you are remembering how to use it. This is the quiet revolution of your healing. No fireworks, no applause, just you in the night, breathing into peace. There is a peculiar ache that comes when your mind keeps looping around the same person, not because they are still here, but because the impression they left behind has not yet faded. Like footsteps pressed into wet sand, their presence lingers even though the tide of time has long moved forward. And yet your inner world still revisits those footsteps, retracing the shape of a memory, as if doing so might bring closure or clarity or comfort. But the truth is, closure rarely arrives the way we want it to. It doesn't come with neat endings or perfect explanations. It doesn't always require their apology or their understanding. More often, closure is something you build silently, patiently, breath by breath. It begins when you stop chasing the why. It deepens when you accept that some things simply are. It completes itself when you reclaim your peace without needing the past to change. Tonight, as you lie in this quiet space with your breath soft and your body slowly yielding to the night, I invite you to consider this. What if you didn't need to get over them, but simply needed to come back to yourself? That is the heart of this journey. Not escape, not denial, but return. And in returning to yourself, you begin to remember who you were before the attachment, before the ache, before the endless questions. You begin to feel the ground beneath your thoughts again, the steady earth of now. In Buddhist practice, we learn to witness rather than react, to notice the rise and fall of craving without becoming entangled. So, if a thought of them comes tonight, meet it like a breeze against your skin. Notice it, acknowledge it, and let it pass. You do not have to hold on. You do not have to resist. Just notice and breathe. Breathing anchors you to the truth you are here. They are not. Your peace is not dependent on anyone else's return. It never was. And now, you begin to feel it, not as a concept, but as a truth living in your chest. You feel it in the soft rhythm of your inhale, in the quiet release of your exhale. You feel it in the space that widens inside you each time you don't respond to the craving, each time you let the thought pass without judgment. This is liberation. Not a dramatic escape, but a quiet refusal to cling. Each breath is a practice in that freedom. Each moment of stillness is a step into wholeness. The person who once held your attention like a magnet is slowly losing their pull. Not because you no longer care, but because you have learned to care for yourself more. Not because you've erased the memory, but because the memory no longer defines your worth. There is power in that. There is grace. You are not erasing love. You are not discarding the past. You are simply choosing to walk forward instead of circling the same point over and over. In Zen, we speak often of non-attachment, not because we must avoid connection, but because we are invited to see all things as passing. Just like clouds, just like waves, just like thoughts. And now, you are learning to relate to this person in the same way. You are letting go, not by force, but by resting. You are allowing the space of your being to widen so much that their memory can exist without disturbing your peace. This is mastery. This is presence. So, as you lie here, feel your body becoming heavier, more grounded. Let the breath flow in and out, like waves lapping at the shore. Let your thoughts pass through like birds crossing the sky, seen, acknowledged, but not held. You are not your memories. You are not your pain. You are the awareness that holds it all. You are the sky, not the cloud. You are the ocean, not the wave. And in this vastness, there is room for everything and attachment to nothing. You are free, even now, even here. Let that knowing settle into your bones. Let it soften the grip of the mind. Let it carry you deeper into rest, into stillness, into peace. Sometimes you wonder why the memories still visit, not in waves, but in trickles. Quiet images sounds half-spoken, sentences replayed at the edge of sleep. You are not summoning them yet. They come, like shadows that follow where light once touched. You ask yourself if you should have done something differently, or if you misunderstood the meaning of it all. You try to solve the puzzle of the past with the tools of the present. But Buddhism gently reminds us there is no lasting answer in the past. It is not a door we can walk through again. It is a dream that has already ended, no matter how vividly it lingers. What you seek is not to fix the past, but to free the present from its grasp. And that journey, tender and slow, begins here, in this breath, in this moment, in this very softness that fills the space between thoughts. You're not meant to banish memory. You're meant to hold it lightly, as you would a feather on your palm seen felt but never gripped. For to grip is to bleed, and you've bled enough. So now, let the mind bring what it brings. Let it paint the images. Let it echo the voices, but do not chase them. Do not run. You are not the one who must keep the flame burning. You are the one who watches as the candle finishes its dance. There is a story in Zen where a student asks the master, "How do I let go of the one who left me?" The master does not answer. He simply points to the stream outside the window and says the water does not grieve the stone it once touched. Let that be your way. You are the stream. They were a stone. And now the current moves on. Feel your own current, your own quiet movement through this night. Feel how even your breath flows effortlessly, needing no effort, asking nothing. This is your nature, not frozen, not trapped, but always unfolding. You may still feel the ache sometimes. That's okay. Pain does not mean you failed. It only means you're still healing. And healing is not a straight line. It curves, it circles, it pauses and resumes. What matters is not speed, but willingness. And you are willing. You are here. You are breathing through the memory instead of being consumed by it. That alone is profound. Each time you breathe into discomfort, without fleeing, you train the heart to stay open. Each time you notice your longing and respond with compassion rather than desperation, you create space. You return to the knowing that no one outside of you is the source of your peace, not anymore. Maybe they were once a mirror. Maybe they awakened something in you. But the awakening belongs to you now. Not to the person, not to the memory, to you. You can carry the wisdom without the weight. You can honor what was beautiful without dragging it behind you. There is lightness in that, freedom, and it's beginning to show. Look at how far you've come, from needing answers to needing stillness, from needing their presence to needing your own. The way your chest softens now, when you exhale, that is evidence. The way you allow the night to hold you without resistance, that is trust. The way you don't flinch when their name crosses your thoughts, that is peace growing roots inside you. So let it root deeper. Let it hold you tonight. Let the breath be your only companion, the only one you need, the one who never left, who never disappointed, who never asked for anything but your attention. You don't need to relive the story. You don't need to rewrite the ending. You are not in that chapter anymore. You are in the blank space, now the sacred pause between old pain and new beginning. And in that space, you are becoming, quietly, powerfully, naturally, no force, no rush, just presence, just breath, just you. There is a stillness that begins to grow inside you when you no longer demand the memory to disappear. When you stop negotiating with the past and instead sit beside it, breathing with it, neither clinging nor resisting. This is not surrender in the way the world defines it, not a giving up, but a laying down of arms. Because you fought enough, fought against the pull of their name, the sting of what could have been, the tension of unanswered questions. But what if peace isn't something you reach after all the answers come? What if peace arrives the moment you stop needing the answers altogether? Buddhism teaches that peace is already here, underneath the layers of grasping, underneath the layers of thought. Like the clear sky behind the storm, like still water beneath the waves. You are not required to feel better to be whole. You are not required to forget to move forward. You are only asked to notice, to return, to breathe. So now, gently return to this moment, to the warmth in your chest, to the coolness of the air as it brushes past your nostrils. That is your truth. That is what's real. Everything else, the memories, the images, the longing is just mind weather. It comes, it passes, it changes. You are not broken because you remember. You are not weak because your heart still feels. If anything, that is a sign of life, a tender beating heart, still open enough to care, still soft enough to ache. But tonight, you are not here to fix your heart. You are here to rest in its rhythm, to feel it beat in your chest without trying to alter it. Just listen. Just witness. In the Zen tradition, we learn to bow to the present moment, whatever it contains, even sadness, even restlessness, even the flicker of longing. Because when we bow, we are not saying this is good or this is easy. We are saying this too belongs. And so you bow, now silently, inwardly, to whatever this moment holds. Maybe there's a trace of grief. Maybe there's numbness. Maybe there's even calm. It all belongs. It is all part of the unfolding. No stage more important than the other. No step wasted. Healing is not a straight path. It loops and spirals, and sometimes returns to the very place you thought you left behind. But this time, when you revisit that place, you bring with you a new breath, a quieter mind, a deeper presence. That makes all the difference. You are not who you were when they left. You are not who you were when your heart first broke. You are someone softer now, wiser, slower to chase, quicker to return to the ground of being. The mind may still whisper their name, but your body knows where home is. Right here, in this breath, in this warmth, in this gentle awareness that holds everything like a wide sky, holds every cloud, without preference. So breathe, soften, let your shoulders release. Let your jaw unclench. Let your belly rise and fall like a cradle for your spirit. You are not alone in this. Many have walked this path of aching release. Many have watched the person they once loved become a memory, and then a lesson, and then just a soft echo. And you will too. Not by force, not by forgetting, but by returning again and again to this moment, because this moment does not ask you to do anything but be. No fixing, no rushing, just being. That is the gift. That is the way. Rest in that. Let it hold you. Let the breath carry you deeper into stillness now, deeper into peace, deeper into the truth that you are already whole. Even with a memory, even with the ache, even in silence, you are whole and you are healing. It begins quietly, like the soft unfolding of petals in the morning sun. This realization that you are not the same person who once waited for their message, replayed their words, or tried to be more lovable, more worthy, more enough. That version of you did nothing wrong. They loved the best way they knew how. But tonight, a deeper knowing stirs a truth that cannot be shaken by memory or loneliness. You were never incomplete. Not even when they left. Not even when you cried into the dark or questioned your value because of their silence. You were always whole, though it was hidden under layers of longing and illusion. In Buddhism, we speak of non-self, not as a denial of identity, but as an invitation to see that you are not fixed, not bound, not confined to any label. You are not the one who was left. You are not the one who couldn't let go. Those are stories the mind creates. And stories, while seductive, are not the same as truth. Truth is quieter. It lives in the body, in the breath, in the space between thoughts. Right now, as you lie in the stillness, notice how your breath rises and falls without effort. Notice how your body softens as you bring kind awareness to it. This is you returning not to the past, not to them, but to yourself. The part of you that was never damaged. The part of you that simply is. There is no need to become someone new. You only need to remember what was never lost, like a traveler who goes on a long journey only to return to the home that never moved. In Zen, this is called returning to the original mind, clear open, free of fear. You may still think of them. That's okay. But notice the difference now. You see the thought arise, and you watch it with gentle curiosity, not desperation. You feel the ache, but you don't grip it. You rest beside it. It is no longer a storm that controls you. It is a cloud drifting across your awareness. You have become the sky, and the sky does not panic when clouds appear. It simply remains vast, unmoved, eternal. You are learning to do the same. No longer pulled by every feeling, no longer needing every thought to make sense. You are trusting the process now. Trusting that clarity comes not by force, but by presence. And the more present you are, the less control the past holds. This is freedom, not the absence of thought, but the spaciousness around it. So breathe into that space now. Feel it widen inside you. Feel your ribs expand with each breath like wings unfolding. You are not broken. You are becoming aware. You are not abandoned. You are returning to yourself. And this return is sacred. Every breath you take in awareness is a bow to your own resilience. Every time you pause instead of panic, every time you soften instead of grasp, you deepen your trust in life. This is not easy work, but it is holy, and you are doing it even now, especially now. So I invite you, relax your body, relax your thoughts, relax even your desire to feel better. Let all striving melt. Let all doing fall away. And simply be. That is enough. That is everything. Tonight, as you rest, let each breath be a soft mantra. I am here. I am safe. I am whole. And let the quiet wisdom of this moment wrap around you like a warm blanket. There is nothing you must fix. No one you must become. Just this breath. Just this presence. Just this gentle return to the truth you are already enough. Sometimes the mind will try to trick you. It will say, you're only calm because you've distracted yourself. It will whisper, you're just pretending you don't care. And beneath that, the deeper voice of fear may echo. If you let go, now, it means they never mattered. But I invite you right here and now to look at those thoughts as you would look at passing birds. Notice them, acknowledge them, but don't chase them. You are not obligated to believe everything the mind says. The mind speaks from habit, from fear, from old patterns trying to protect you from pain. But you are learning to listen with a deeper ear. Not the frantic ear of a wounded heart, but the still, steady listening of awareness itself. And in that quiet space, you begin to realize something radical. Letting go does not mean it didn't matter. Letting go does not erase the beauty, the tenderness, the moments that made your heart swell. It only means you are no longer chaining your present to a memory. You are choosing to carry the love, but release the suffering. To honor what was true then, while bowing to what is true now. This is not forgetting. This is evolution. The Buddha taught that clinging brings suffering not because desire is bad, but because everything we cling to is changing, impermanent, unstable. Even the self that clings is shifting moment by moment. So why build a house on a moving tide? Why anchor your peace in someone else's presence when they too are a wave passing through time? It is natural to love. It is natural to grieve. But when love becomes attachment and grief becomes identity, we suffer. So tonight, you soften that grip, not because you don't care, but because you care enough to stop hurting yourself. You release the thought not with resentment, but with reverence, like releasing a paper lantern into the night sky. Thank you for what you gave. Thank you for the lessons. Now go, be free, and I will be free too. The tears may come. Let them. They are holy. They are cleansing. They are not signs of weakness, but of opening. Each one a baptism back into presence. So breathe. Stay here. Return to the rhythm that never left you. Inhale slowly. Exhale softly. You are not your thoughts. You are not your memories. You are the witness. The awareness that sees without judgment. The sky holding every storm. Do you feel it now? The spaciousness inside you. The quiet beneath the ache. That is your freedom. That is the truth that cannot be taken from you, no matter what they said, no matter what they did, no matter whether they remember you or have long forgotten. Their actions are theirs. but your peace. That is yours, always. So I invite you, just for this moment, to stop trying to prove anything. Stop trying to win love, or justify your pain, or find the right version of yourself to finally be chosen. There is nothing to prove. You were always worthy. Even when they didn't see it, even when you forgot, you were enough. You still are. Sit with that truth, like a stone in your hand. Feel its weight. Feel its steadiness. You don't need to add to it. Just be with it. Let it anchor you back to now. Your breath, your body, your presence. In Zen practice, we return to the breath, not to escape life, but to return to it, fully, honestly, without the noise. And the more you do this returning, the more you realize the past doesn't live here. It cannot control you unless you feed it. So, stop feeding it. Stop feeding the narrative of not enough. Stop feeding the fantasy of what could have been. You have grieved enough. You have replayed it enough. Now it is time to rest. You don't need to be healed to be present. You don't need to be perfect to be at peace. Just be here, as you are. Soft, awake, breathing. The mind may still wander. Let it. Don't resist. Don't cling. Just be. If the thought returns, smile gently at it, like an old friend you no longer need to entertain. And return, always return, to this breath, this body, this moment. You are not who you were yesterday. You are not who you will be tomorrow. You are this breath, this awareness, this unfolding mystery, and that is enough. That is holy. That is home. So relax your shoulders, unclench your hands, let your spine melt into the ground. You are supported, you are safe, and more than anything, you are free, even now, even here, even with all that still aches. You are free because you are choosing presence. You are choosing peace. And peace is always enough. You've come far enough now to feel it in your body. The quiet shift that begins not with a decision, but with a surrender. Not the kind of surrender that gives up, but the kind that lets go. The kind that says, I no longer need to carry what was never mine to keep. It happens in the smallest of ways, perhaps when your breath finally reaches your belly without resistance, or when the thought of them arrives and you no longer brace for pain. The story that once kept you up at night is beginning to lose its sharpness. The dialogue that played on repeat now feels distant, like a play you watched long ago. This is not forgetting. This is not numbing. This is healing. Slowly, your inner landscape is changing. And in its place, silence returns, not empty silence, but the sacred kind, the kind that makes space for the soul to breathe. In Buddhism, silence is not void. It is presence. It is fullness. It is awareness without the clutter of grasping. You are discovering that now, that there is more to you than the memory, that your identity is not bound to the role you once played in someone else's story. You are not the abandoned. You are not the one who was never enough. You are not the past version of yourself who waited by the phone or rehearsed perfect conversations in the dark. That version served a purpose. They showed you your capacity to feel, to long, to love. But now, you are being asked to evolve, not by force, not because you must, but because something inside you is ready. You feel it when you exhale, when you no longer crave their explanation like oxygen, when you realize peace is not something they can give, it's something you claim. And tonight, you're claiming it, not through control, not through certainty, but through surrender. You no longer need to hold the thread. You no longer need to make sense of every detail. You trust now that some things unravel so that deeper truths can rise. The Buddha never promised a life without sorrow. He only taught how to meet sorrow without becoming it. And you are learning that now. To watch the wave without drowning. To hear the echo without running. To feel the memory pass through you without gripping. This is mastery. This is stillness. This is you becoming the calm center of your own life again. The ache may still flicker, but it doesn't own you. The longing may rise, but it doesn't define you. Each breath becomes your refuge. Each moment of awareness becomes your temple. And in that temple, you are both the seeker and the sacred. You are both the witness and the one being held. Rest in that now. Feel your body melt into the support beneath you. Feel gravity holding you like the earth saying, "You do not have to carry this alone any." Let the tension go. From your face, your shoulders, your hands. Let the body speak what the mind cannot. Let the breath say what words never could. I am okay now. I am safe. I am whole. You've tried so hard to prove something, to be someone worthy of being chosen. But tonight, you no longer need to perform. There is nothing to win, nothing to protect. Only this stillness, this truth, this spacious awareness that loves you exactly as you are. In Zen, we speak of the beginner's mind, not a mind clouded by assumptions, but one that meets each moment fresh, curious, open. Can you meet yourself that way now? Not as the one who lost, but as the one who is rediscovering, relearning, returning to peace, to self, to the sacred rhythm of simply being. You may still think of them, but the thought is lighter now. It no longer pulls you from your center. It no longer whispers, "You are not enough," because you have seen through it. You have seen the illusion. You have touched the deeper truth, and it's simple, quiet, undeniable. You are already whole. You are already free. Not in some far-off future, but now, here, in this breath, in this moment. Let it hold you. Let it soften you. Let it guide you into the kind of rest that no longer needs to forget the past to feel peace. Because now you carry it differently, not as a burden, but as a gentle part of your path, a chapter that closed itself so another could begin. And this is the beginning. You don't need to chase peace anymore. It's not something far away, not something locked in the arms of another, not something reserved for people who never made mistakes. Peace doesn't ask you to be perfect. It only asks you to be present. And tonight, that's exactly where you are. You are not in the past where the wound was formed, nor in the future where the outcome remains unknown. You are here, listening, breathing, letting go. That person who lingers in your thoughts, the one whose name arrives like a whisper in the quiet moments they are not your prison. Your attachment to them might feel like a chain, but even chains rust, and even chains fall. It's not their memory that binds you. It's the meaning you've given it. It's the story you tell yourself that you cannot move forward without their apology, their return, their understanding. But what if you don't need it? What if you could be free without ever changing the past? Buddhism teaches that suffering arises not from pain itself, but from our resistance to it. The grasping, the clinging, the refusal to let the river flow. But now you're learning to open your hand. You're seeing how tightly you've held on, not just to them, but to the version of yourself who needed them. And in this softness, this quiet, you find something new: compassion. Not just for them, but for you. For the self who tried, who showed up, who gave love the best way they knew how. There's no shame in wanting to be seen. No failure in having loved. The pain was not your enemy. It was your teacher. And now the lesson is nearly complete. You feel it in the silence between your thoughts, in the way your breath comes more easily, in the space you've begun to reclaim inside your own mind. What once felt like chaos now begins to settle, like snow drifting gently in a glass globe, disturbed, then still again. That stillness is not the absence of life. It's the return of balance, of order, of inner harmony. And tonight, as you lie in the cradle of this stillness, you are not alone. You are not lost. You are simply here, meeting yourself at last. For so long you've tried to fix it, haven't you? Tried to understand, to rewrite the past with logic or hope. But healing does not arrive through control. It arrives through release, through trust, through the surrender of what was to the beauty of what is. And here, in this moment, you begin to see you were never truly abandoned. You were only being redirected, guided, protected from a path that could not hold your becoming. They were not your destination. They were a mirror, a moment, a lesson, and now the road continues with you. Only you. Not because you must walk alone, but because your next chapter begins within. Not out there, not in their hands, but in your own awakening. This is what freedom feels like. Not loud, not grand, but soft, subtle, unshakable. It feels like exhaling without fear, like waking up without dread, like resting in your own presence without needing distraction. The Buddha taught that everything that arises passes. Even the tightest knot unravels with time and stillness. Even the deepest ache loses its edge when met with love instead of resistance. You are giving yourself that love now. Not in grand gestures, but in breath, in gentleness, in the simple act of staying. Staying with the sensation, the memory, the discomfort, and not running, not judging, just being. This is your practice. This is your return to the self you left behind while chasing their approval, to the quiet wisdom that waited while you tried to change what could not be changed. You are back now, and you are wiser, kinder, more whole than ever before. You may not feel it fully yet, but it's there. Underneath the residue of old stories, beneath the habits of rumination, a steadiness is blooming, rooted in presence, watered by forgiveness, lit by awareness. So let yourself rest in it. Let go of the timelines, the closure that never came, the words they never said. You don't need them to complete your healing. You never did. The completion is already here, in your breath, in your body, in the choice to be gentle with what hurts, to soften instead of harden, to open instead of close. Tonight is not about forgetting them. It's about remembering you, the real you, the you who is not broken, the you who is not too much, the you who carries centuries of strength in your spirit. Let that strength hold you now, not in the form of armor, but in the form of openness, in the willingness to meet whatever arises without fear, without clinging, without becoming the story. You are not the storm. You are the sky. You are not the thought. You are the awareness of it. You are not the pain. You are the one holding the pain in compassion. And as you breathe, you remember all things pass, even this, even them. The memory will fade like morning mist. The ache will loosen like an old thread. And what will remain is you pure present at peace. So rest now. No more trying. No more forcing. Just rest. Let the river of your mind flow without interference. Let each breath return you to this moment, this sacred, fleeting, eternal now. In Zen, there is a saying, sit quietly doing nothing, and the grass grows by itself. You don't need to grow yourself. You only need to stop interfering with the growth that is already happening. And it is, in you, through you, even now, even here, especially here. So let it be. Let the silence speak. Let the breath guide. Let the heart mend in its own time. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where you are meant to be, on the path, walking gently back to yourself. There's a place within you that has never been touched by confusion, never been hurt by memory, never been shaken by someone walking away. It is not distant, not unreachable. It is simply quiet. So quiet that the noise of your longing and sorrow has often drowned it out. But tonight, in the softness of this breath, in the hush between thoughts, you begin to feel it. A still lake untouched by wind. A mountain unmoved by storm. This is your knowing nature, not the you who cries, not the you who remembers or regrets, but the you who watches it all unfold without judgment. The you who has always been watching. Sometimes we forget that we are not the characters in our stories, but the space in which all stories unfold. That when someone leaves, they do not take the ground beneath our feet. The pain they leave behind feels like a wound, but in truth it is an invitation, a gate through which we re-enter the path of awakening. You've walked through that gate many times without realizing. Every sleepless night, every quiet tear, every time your mind wandered back to their smile, you were on the path. Not backward, not off course, but deeper into truth. You thought you were stuck, but no, you were circling, spiraling inward, not trapped, but turning toward your center, again and again, until finally, here, in the rhythm of your breath, you meet yourself. Not as a person with answers, not as someone who has everything figured out, but as someone brave enough to stay, to feel, to listen. And that courage is enough. You do not need to solve anything tonight. You only need to stay with what is. Let go of the pressure to heal in perfect symmetry. Healing is not a straight road. It's not a staircase. It's not a plan. It's a returning. Sometimes slow, sometimes painful, always sacred. In Buddhism, they speak of bodhisattva, the awakened heart, not a heart that never breaks, but a heart that breaks open. A heart that feels deeply, sees clearly, and still chooses compassion. You are learning this now. Learning to hold space for your own ache without trying to silence it. Learning to trust that you are not wrong for feeling too much. You are not broken because you remember them. Memory is not the enemy. It is a teacher. And tonight, the lesson is this. You can remember without returning. You can care without clinging. You can love without losing yourself. That is what presence offers. It doesn't demand you erase what happened. It asks only that you don't lose the now in chasing what was. That person you think of their image may rise again. That's all right. Don't push it away. Just notice it. Name it gently. A thought, like a leaf on the stream. Watch it float. Don't grasp. Don't resist. Just let it pass. And then return to breathe, to body, to this. The place where your healing lives is not in some future where they understand. It's here, in this moment where you understand yourself, where you stop running, where you stop trying to become worthy of someone else's affection and begin recognizing the worth that has always been yours. You are not too much. You are not too sensitive. You are not weak for missing them. You are human, soft and fierce, tender and strong, capable of both grief and grace. And in that, you are divine. Stop waiting for them to see your light. See it for yourself. Let your breath be the lamp. Let this silence be the temple. Let this night be your prayer. Not one of asking, but one of surrender. The kind of prayer that says, I release the need to know. I release the need to fix. I trust the wisdom of what is. And in that trust you soften. Your heart no longer clenched. Your mind no longer racing. Just stillness. Just space. Just the quiet rhythm of your soul coming home. Do you feel it? That subtle shift, like clouds parting after a long storm. Not dramatic, not loud, but sure. You're not where you were. You've taken a step inward, a step toward peace. And peace is not empty. It's not the absence of thought or memory. It's the full embrace of all that is without being consumed by it, like watching rain fall without trying to stop it, like witnessing sadness without becoming it. You are learning to be the watcher, the spaciousness around the pain. And this is liberation. It begins so humbly, with a breath, with a whisper, with the quiet choice to stay present one more second, and then another, and another, until presence becomes your home, not your visitor. You don't need to do anything grand tonight. You don't need to rewrite your life or find all the answers. Just stay right here. Let the ache rise and fall like waves. Let the memory bloom and fade like petals. Let yourself be. That is the way. That is the practice. That is the path. In the Zen tradition, they say, when walking, just walk. When eating, just eat. So tonight, just breathe. Just rest. Just feel. There's nowhere else to go. No one else to become. You are not a project. You are not broken glass. You are not unfinished. You are sacred, whole. Even in your ache, even in your longing, you are enough. Feel that truth in your bones. Let it settle in your belly. Let it rise with your breath, and let it carry you into rest, into trust, into the quiet joy of simply being. No story, no striving, just this. You, here, now. And that is everything. There's a quiet turning, taking place inside you. Now, not the kind that makes headlines or draws applause, but the kind that slowly rewrites the script of your suffering. It begins where the noise ends in the soft place beneath all thought, beneath the ache, beneath even the longing to let go. It is not something you do. It is something you allow. You're learning in this stillness that peace is not what happens when everything is resolved. Peace is what arrives when you stop needing resolution. That person you keep returning to in your mind. They are not your captor. It's your attachment to the story that holds you hostage. The story of what if, the story of why didn't they, the story of wasn't I enough. And though these stories feel urgent, they are made of echoes. Echoes of love, yes, but also of fear. And fear has never been your true guide. So tonight, let yourself notice that voice when it rises. Don't argue with it. Don't try to win. Just observe. Say gently, I see you, old story, and return. Return to breath, to the warm rhythm of your body as it settles to the truth that nothing needs to be solved for you to be safe. You are safe now. Here. In this room. In this body. In this breath. The war was in the mind. And now you are laying down your weapons. Imagine your mind as a sky, vast and infinite. Thoughts are just clouds passing through. Some dark, some heavy, some shaped like memories that hurt. But none of them are the sky. None of them are you. You are the space in which they come and go. You don't need to chase them. You don't need to fix them. Just watch. Just be. In Zen, there's a saying, let the mud settle and the water will become clear. Tonight is the settling. Tonight, you let gravity hold you instead of holding yourself together. You let the ache be what it is, just a ripple, not a flood. You let your past be the past. Not because you've forgotten, but because you've remembered who you are beneath it. You were never only the one who was left. You are also the one who stayed, who felt, who endured, who began again and again and again. The heart that hurts is also the heart that heals. Do not be afraid of your tenderness. It is not a flaw. It is your wisdom showing. It is your truth blooming through the cracks. Yes, it may feel raw tonight, but raw means open. And openness is the beginning of transformation. You are not on the wrong path just because you still feel pain. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where you are meant to be, at the meeting point of pain and presence, where healing quietly begins. You may ask, but when will I be free of them? And the answer is not a date, not a destination. It is a direction you are already walking. Every time you choose stillness over spiraling, every time you breathe instead of bargain, every time you say, yes, this hurts, but I am here. Freedom does not come like thunder. It comes like dawn. Slowly, softly, almost imperceptibly, until one day you wake and realize the weight is gone. The ache has softened. The story has faded, not because you forced it to, but because you allowed yourself to be larger than it, and you are. You are vaster than any single memory. You are older than any heartbreak. You are eternal, even in your fragility, especially in your fragility. That is where your soul speaks loudest, not in triumph, but in tenderness. Not in fixing, but in feeling. So, let yourself feel. Let yourself soften. Let the tension in your shoulders melt with the out-breath. Let your jaw unclench. Let your eyes grow heavy with compassion. You don't need to be alert tonight. You don't need to be ready. You don't need to rehearse your defenses. This is not a battle. This is a return. A coming home to the you who never left. The you who sat quietly inside every heartbreak, whispering, I'm still here. Can you hear that voice now? Can you let it be the loudest sound in the room? Let it guide you, not with answers, but with presence. Let it remind you that you are already whole, already healing, already enough. Even in the silence, especially in the silence. Imagine now that you are sitting in a quiet forest. The sun has set. The air is cool. The trees are still. You are not searching. You are not escaping. You are simply sitting, watching your breath rise and fall like fireflies blinking in the dark. This stillness is your temple. This moment is your sanctuary. You do not need incense or chants. You do not need permission. The sacred lives here in the pause between your thoughts, in the space between longing and letting go. You are not here to escape your mind. You are here to befriend it, to sit beside it like an old companion and say, I see you, I honor you, and I release the need to control you. That is what the Buddha meant by freedom. Not the absence of thought, but the freedom to not be ruled by it. Not the erasure of love, but the ability to love without suffering. And this moment is a seed of that freedom. It doesn't look like much. It doesn't feel grand, but it is everything. Because from this seed, a new way of being will grow, a way rooted in awareness, in compassion, in breath. So tonight, I invite you to stay with that seed, to water it with patience, to nourish it with presence, to trust that even in the dark, something beautiful is unfolding within you. You are not lost. You are not failing. You are becoming, quietly, gently, like the moon becoming full, like winter turning to spring. No rush, no force, just faith, just breath, just now. There is a kind of silence that does not come from the absence of sound, but from the deep stillness within the soul. A quietness that arises not because the world has stopped speaking, but because you have stopped struggling against it. Tonight, you are being gently led into that silence, not as a prisoner, but as a guest invited to rest, to soften, to return. And in that returning, you begin to feel again. Truly feel not just the emotions that cling to the mind like fog to glass, but the deeper currents beneath them, the steady rhythm of being the breath that never abandoned you even when your thoughts did. The memory of that person still flickers across your heart like a lantern swinging in the night. It's okay. Let it swing. Let it glow without grasping it. The pain is not a punishment. It is proof that you loved deeply. But you do not need to make a monument of your suffering. You do not need to replay the story until the ending changes. Let the story be what it was. Let yourself be who you are now. Someone older, wiser, softer perhaps, but still whole, still here. There is an old Zen parable of a man who carried a heavy stone on his back, convinced that without it, he would lose his purpose. One day, he met a teacher who said the path is not under the stone. The path begins the moment you let it go. You may not be ready to drop the weight all at once, but even loosening your grip is an act of courage. Even resting for a moment, breathing without judgment, is a step toward liberation. No one told you healing would be loud, and it isn't. It is quiet. It is invisible. It happens in the smallest choices, to unclench the fists, to let the thought pass, to say, this too is part of me without shame. So let tonight be that choice. Let tonight be the night you do not argue with yourself. Let the ache arise and fall like waves meeting the sand. You are not the ocean storming, you are the shore, holding space for every wave. In Buddhism, they speak of dukkha, the dissatisfaction, the craving, the restlessness of the mind, and the answer is not escape. The answer is presence, mindfulness, returning, again and again. You breathe in. You know you are breathing in. You breathe out. You know you are breathing out. In that simple knowing, suffering softens. In that small awareness, the world shifts. Tonight, let that awareness guide you like a lantern through fog. Let it lead you away from the noise of regret, away from the sharp corners of memory, and back into your body, your breath, your being. The person who once held your heart does not need to be your compass anymore. You are not broken without them. You are not incomplete. That was the illusion that love made you whole. But love, true love, does not complete you. It reflects what was already there. And what is there is vast, precious, sacred, entire. Rest in that. Rest in the knowing that you have always belonged to yourself, even when you forgot, even when you gave your power away, even when you thought their presence meant more than your peace. It is not a failure to miss them. It is not weakness to feel, but it is wisdom to see the feeling and say, I do not need to follow you tonight. Let your mind float like a leaf on a stream, observing, not clinging. Let your heart beat without needing an explanation. Let your body sink into this moment, this breath, this softness. You are not here to fix yourself. You are here to forgive yourself for holding on too long, for blaming yourself, for thinking their absence was a verdict. It wasn't. It was a turning point, a redirection, a sacred nudge back to your own center. Tonight, that center is calling, quietly, patiently. It says, be still. You are not your past. You are not your pain. You are the awareness behind it, the observer who watches but does not drown, the presence who remains long after every storm has passed. In the Zen tradition, they say before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. The point is not to transcend life. The point is to be fully in it without being consumed by it. You can still love and let go. You can still feel and not be defined by it. You can still remember without reliving. Let that be your practice tonight. Let every breath be an act of quiet revolution, not to change the past, but to change your relationship to it. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to see in what happened. And tonight, you choose compassion. You choose softness. You choose rest. The night does not demand anything of you. It does not need you to perform. It welcomes you just as you are, unpolished, unfinished, real. Let yourself be that, real, present, whole. In Zen, there's another teaching. Let go or be dragged. You have been dragged long enough by memory, by guilt, by the echo of someone's voice who no longer speaks your name. Tonight, you loosen the rope, not because you stopped caring, but because you care enough about yourself to be free. This is what freedom feels like, not fireworks, but exhale. Not euphoria, but ease. Not forgetting, but remembering your own name, your own light, your own rhythm. That rhythm is with you now, steady and quiet, like waves lapping ashore, no longer resisting. Like wind through pine trees, like breath, in, out, in, out. Every breath is a choice. Every moment is a return. Welcome back. Welcome home. You made it, not to an ending, but to the beginning of peace. And that is enough for tonight. There is a kind of grief that hides behind the face of longing, the kind that doesn't cry out loud or make dramatic gestures, but lingers quietly in your chest like a shadow that refuses to lift even when the sun is high. It's the grief of imagining how things could have been if only they had stayed, if only they had chosen you, if only life had bent just slightly in your favor. You don't speak of it often, but it sits with you in the silence. It walks beside you when no one else can see. And sometimes It visits your dreams, wearing their face, speaking in their voice, pulling you backward into a story you no longer belong to. But tonight, we're not here to reopen that wound. We're here to witness it, to see it clearly and softly and say, yes, this pain exists, but I do not need to feed it anymore. You see, in the teachings of the Buddha, we learn that suffering does not come only from pain itself. It comes from attachment to the idea that the pain should not exist, or that it should have resolved on our timeline. This is the nature of upadana clinging, not just to people or outcomes, but to the version of ourselves that we imagined we were when we had them. And perhaps in losing them, we felt like we lost that part of ourselves too. But listen gently. Now you are still here. The love you gave still lives within you. The tenderness that bloomed in your heart was never wasted, never foolish, never wrong. It was real, and it made you more human, not less. It is time to stop judging yourself for feeling, even if they never knew the full extent of your devotion, even if they walked away without looking back. That does not diminish the truth of your love. But tonight, we honor another truth, the truth that holding on no longer protects you. It only keeps you in a room with closed windows, breathing air that no longer nourishes your soul. There's a story in Zen of a monk who carried a woman across a muddy river. Hours later, another monk asked, "Why did you carry her? That was forbidden." And the first monk replied, "I set her down at the riverbank. Why are you still carrying her?" So too, you must ask yourself, am I still carrying what should have been set down long ago? Not to shame yourself, but to remember that letting go is not betrayal. It is liberation. You are not letting go of the person. You are letting go of the suffering tied to their memory. The two are not the same. You can bless them and still choose yourself. You can wish them well and still walk away. You can grieve what was and still make space for what is to come. In your heart, there may still be a room that holds their echo. That's okay. You don't need to evict every memory to move forward. You just need to stop feeding it with your presence, your energy, your sleep, your peace. Let the memory rest. Let it become what it was always meant to be, a chapter, not the whole book. You are not stuck in this story. You are the one writing it. And now you pick up the pen again. Inhale, exhale. There you are. Here you are. In this breath, this moment, this body. You've survived the ache. You've sat with your sorrow. And now you are ready not to forget, but to reclaim. The ancient teachings remind us, this too shall pass. All formations are impermanent. Every wave rises and falls. So too will this. You will not feel like this forever. You are not doomed to loop the same thought. You are not cursed to carry their absence like a chain around your ankle. No. You are more than that. You are the sky that holds every storm, the earth that bears every season, the soul that remains when everything else shifts. And what a gift that is. You have lived through heartbreak, and still your heart beats. You have known abandonment, and still you show up. You have tasted grief, and yet you are capable of joy. That is strength. That is resilience. That is you. Tonight we do not chase healing. We allow it. We make space for it by softening, by loosening the grip, by whispering, "I am allowed to be okay," even if they are not here. This is not betrayal. This is not forgetting. This is remembering who you were before the pain, and it is remembering that you are allowed to become someone new. The lotus grows in the mud. The phoenix rises from ashes. And you too are rising slowly, gently, without force. You don't need to rush. Just trust the unfolding. Trust that your heart knows how to knit itself back together. Trust that peace is not something you chase, but something you allow in when you stop blocking the door. This breath is the beginning. This moment is enough. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to rest in the knowing that you are enough. Just as you are, with your scars, with your questions, with your longing. All of it is welcome here. All of it belongs. In the teachings of mindfulness, we are reminded, feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. Conscious breathing is my anchor. So breathe now, not to control, not to escape, but to return. Inhale, exhale. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw soften. Let your heart say, "I survived," because you did. And you are not here by accident. You are here because some part of you still believes in healing, still believes in softness, still believes in the quiet miracle of rest. So let tonight be the night you choose that rest, not as a reward, but as a right. Not because the world has earned your silence, but because you have earned your peace. Sleep now. Let the past be the past. Let the present hold you like a mother holds her child tenderly, patiently, without demand. You are home, not in a place, not in a person, but in yourself. And that is more than enough. Sometimes, the heaviest weight you carry is not the memory of them, not even the loss itself, but the expectation that you should already be over it by now. You look around and everyone else seems to be moving forward, laughing again, building lives, falling in love. And you wonder if you're the only one whose chest still tightens when you hear a certain song, whose breath still falters at the sight of a familiar place, whose sleep still breaks in the middle of the night to thoughts of what used to be. But healing is not a race. You are not late. You are not broken. You are simply human. And the heart doesn't keep time by the same clock the world does. Tonight, you are invited to stop comparing your grief. In the teachings of Zen, we do not rush the flower to bloom. We do not force the fruit from the tree. We observe, we breathe, and we accept the moment as it is. Right here, right now, you are exactly where you need to be, even if that place still carries sorrow. It is okay to feel what you feel. It is okay to not have moved on. Moving on is not the goal anyway. Moving through that is the path, and you are on it one quiet breath at a time. Do you remember the story of the cracked bowl? A monk once found a bowl with a small chip in its rim. He could have thrown it away, but instead he kept it, and each morning he filled it with water. "Why this bowl?" a visitor asked, and the monk smiled. "Because it reminds me that even with imperfections, we can still carry what we are meant to hold. So it is with you. You may feel cracked tinder in places, But that does not make you any less capable of carrying peace, of holding joy, of being whole. The wound may remain, but you do not need to press on it every day to remember that it hurt. You can acknowledge the pain and still choose to live beyond it. You can stop rehearsing the moment they left the words they said, the way things could have gone differently. It does not change what is. And what is that you are still alive, still breathing, still capable of choosing something new. In Buddhism, we call this the truth of impermanence. Nothing remains the same. Not joy, not sorrow, not even longing. All things arise and all things pass, like waves returning to the sea, like wind sweeping through a field, like fire becoming ash. If you cling to the past, you miss the breath before you. You miss the soft miracle of this moment, this stillness, this space to simply be. So breathe again. Now slowly. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. You are here, in this body, in this time. And you do not owe anyone your healing. You do not need to be further along than you are. You only need to be honest. What would it feel like to be honest with your heart, to say, yes, I loved them. Yes, I miss them. And yes, I deserve peace now. There is nothing weak about still missing someone, but there is power in deciding you will not let that missing define you. Power in turning your gaze inward and saying, I am enough. I do not need them to return for my worth to be restored. Your worth was never lost. It only became hidden beneath the rubble of disappointment. And now, piece by piece, you are clearing it away. Every tear you've cried has watered the soil of your own awakening. Every sleepless night has brought you closer to the clarity that this too shall pass. And when it does, when the fog lifts and you can finally see the horizon again, you will realize you were never standing still. You were growing roots. You were deepening. You were becoming more tender, more aware, more alive. In the darkness, seeds awaken. In the silence, wisdom forms. And in this pause, this sacred pause, you are remembering how to be whole on your own. There is a Buddhist saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. But sometimes the teacher is not a person. Sometimes the teacher is loss. Sometimes the teacher is longing. Sometimes the teacher is the unbearable stillness you sit in at night, asking questions with no answers. And the lesson is not always found in words. It's found in the softening of your resistance, in the letting go of your timeline, in the release of your need to make sense of everything. Not everything must make sense. Some things simply are. And your job is not to fix them, but to breathe through them, to witness them, to let them move through you like clouds across an endless sky. You are not your thoughts. You are the space that holds them. You are not your story. You are the silence underneath it. So when the mind pulls you back, when it replays the memories or builds fantasies of what could have been, pause, notice, and return. Return to the breath. Return to the body. Return to the truth that this moment is enough. And you are enough to meet it. You don't need to keep waiting for closure that may never come. You don't need to keep wishing they understood your heart. What matters now is that you understand it, that you honor it, that you offer it the kindness it has always given to others. This is your practice. This is your path. Not to forget, but to befriend the parts of you that still hurt. To hold them gently like a mother holds a child waking from a bad dream. To whisper, "You are safe now. You are not alone. You are allowed to rest. Let tonight be a turning point." Not dramatic, not loud, just a quiet shift, a subtle opening like the first crack of dawn after the longest night. No one else may notice it, but you will, and that's enough. You have walked a long road, and you deserve rest. Not because you finished healing, but because healing begins with rest. So close your eyes, loosen your jaw, let your shoulders drop. Let the tears come if they do, or let the stillness hold you if they don't. There is no wrong way to feel. There is only your way, and your way is sacred. Trust that. Trust the breath. Trust the process. And trust that somewhere in the silence of this night, your heart is beginning to mend. Not all at once, but gently, naturally, inevitably, like spring returning to the bare branch, like laughter returning to a grieving mouth, like love returning not for them, but for you. And that dear soul is the beginning of peace. There is a quiet rhythm in life that becomes audible only when everything else falls silent. A rhythm that pulses beneath your thoughts, beneath your emotions, beneath the questions that loop endlessly in your mind like a broken prayer. When you are caught in thoughts of someone who no longer stands beside you, when their name still echoes through your days and their absence still leaves an imprint on your nights, it is easy to believe that this ache is forever. But I invite you now, in this still moment, between breath and breath, to feel deeper than that ache. Let the outer world recede. Let the stories fall away. You are not here to forget them. You are here to remember yourself. So breathe deeply, as if the breath were a bridge between your pain and your peace. Let it carry you inward. Let it show you what still lives within you, waiting not for their return, but for your own. Do you remember who you were before the weight of this longing pressed against your chest? Before your nights became haunted by memories, dressed in silence, that self is still here, buried beneath the layers of sorrow and time. In the Zen tradition, there is a saying, "When you walk, just walk. When you sit, just sit. Above all, don't wobble." This is not a call for perfection. It is an invitation to presence, to be with whatever is here without leaning forward into what might be or backward into what was. So, in this moment, just lie here, just breathe here. Let your mind settle like silt in a pond, disturbed only when you stir it. Let yourself drift gently into the knowing that peace does not come from understanding why they left or how it all unraveled. Peace comes from understanding that you are still whole, even in the absence of what you thought you needed. Imagine the mind as a room filled with windows. When you fixate on one view, the window of memory, the window of longing, you miss the breeze flowing in from the others. You miss the scent of the present moment, the softness of being alive right now. Grief closes some windows, yes, but you can open others. You can turn your gaze. You can invite new air in. This doesn't dishonor the past. It honors the fullness of your life. In Buddhism, we speak of the middle way, the path that walks between extremes, neither denying the pain nor drowning in it, neither clinging to what was nor rushing toward what could be, just walking breath by breath through what is. You are walking the middle way tonight. You are not lost. You are not behind. You are simply here, and that is enough. Sometimes we expect too much from ourselves. We expect to be wise while still raw, composed, while still bleeding. But even the Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree for days before awakening. He faced his fears. He sat with desire. He did not rush his process, and neither must you. Your Bodhi tree may be this bed, this breath, this moment of surrender when you finally say, I do not know what's next, but I trust I will meet it. The one you miss, they are part of your path, but they are not your destination. They came to teach something. Perhaps it was love. Perhaps it was loss. Perhaps it was how to hold yourself when no one else could. Whatever it was, the lesson is unfolding now, not in their return, but in your return to self. You are learning how to be with your own heart. You are learning how to sit with discomfort without needing to escape it. You are learning that loneliness is not an enemy, but a doorway, an invitation to deepen your relationship with the silence inside you. In that silence, you will hear things, the whisper of your inner strength, the quiet voice that says, I'm still here, the subtle knowing that this too shall pass as all things do. Even this ache, even this night. You do not need to do anything tonight. You do not need to solve anything, fix anything, prove anything. You only need to be, to lie here, like the earth lies beneath the stars, still and vast and enough. Let yourself be the earth. Let the stars of your thoughts twinkle above, but do not reach for them. Let them shine and fade as they will. You are the space they move through, not the movement itself. And when you feel yourself slipping again into memory, into what if, into the story of how it could have been, pause. Return, not by force, not by shame, but by breath. Breathe in, feel the rise of your chest. Breathe out, feel the grounding of your body. This body has carried you through so much. It deserves rest. It deserves gratitude. It deserves your kindness. Place your hand gently over your heart now, if it feels right. Feel the beat beneath your palm. That is life. That is presence. That is you. Not the version of you they once knew. Not the version of you that waited for closure, but the version of you that is awakening now. Whole, tender, true. Let the past soften its grip, not because you're forgetting, but because you're remembering who you are beyond the past. There is no need to rehearse the same scene over and over. The play has ended. The curtain has fallen. Step off that stage. Come home to the quiet backstage where truth waits. Your truth is not found in their words or their absence. It's found in your breath, your stillness, your choosing to keep loving even when it hurts. That is the real miracle. Not that love ends, but that love endures even when unreturned, even when unseen. And you, dear soul, are enduring with grace, with courage, with each breath you take. Let tonight be a sacred pause, a moment to honor your heart not for how quickly it mends, but for how bravely it beats. Let tonight be the night you stop asking, when will I stop thinking of them? And start asking, what do I need right now? Maybe it's rest. Maybe it's a whisper of forgiveness. Maybe it's simply a gentle hand on your chest reminding you that you are safe and you are held. Whatever it is, let it come. Let it rise like moonlight through a dark room, soft, silent enough. The Zen path is not about becoming someone else. It's about remembering who you've always been, beneath the layers of fear and longing. And who you are right now is enough. Not someday, not once you've let go, but now, just as you are, just as this moment is. Let it be. Let yourself be. Breathe, rest, return. Sometimes, the mind, like a river swollen with rain, overflows its banks and floods the landscape of your inner world with memory, doubt, and yearning. You find yourself drifting again, not toward rest, but into restless tides of thinking about them. Their smile, their voice, the way their absence now feels louder than their presence ever was. You try to anchor your thoughts, but they slip through your fingers like water. You reach for calm, but it hides beneath layers of what-ifs and why-nots. Let us return to the truth that does not shift. Nothing in this life is permanent. Not joy, not sorrow, not even this longing. What you are feeling now is not wrong. It is simply a wave. And every wave must eventually return to stillness. You are not here to resist the wave. You are here to witness it, to allow it to rise, crest, and fall, all without forgetting that you are the ocean that holds it. There is a teaching in Buddhism. The mind is everything. What you think, you become. This does not mean you are to blame for your suffering. It means you hold the power to guide your awareness. You are not powerless here. You are the keeper of the flame. You decide where to point the light. So tonight, point it inward. Not toward the shadow of what is gone, but toward the quiet corners of yourself that are still here, still breathing, still hoping, still whole. There is no need to pretend you do not care. There is no need to numb your ache or silence your heart, but you must remember, you are more than this ache. You are more than this chapter. You are the one turning the pages. Each breath is a turning. Each exhale is a soft release. So, let your breath move like a gentle breeze through your body now. With each inhale, invite in calm. With each exhale, invite out the clinging. You do not have to force yourself to forget. That is not the path. The path is to remember something deeper, that the presence of someone else does not determine the peace inside of you. You are not defined by their presence or their leaving. You are defined by your willingness to be here fully, to feel fully, to heal fully. Do you see the difference? Do you see the soft courage it takes to stay present with what hurts instead of running from it? That is where real freedom begins. Not in changing the past, not in rewriting their actions, but in choosing to respond with awareness now. You are learning to hold pain without letting it harden you. You are learning to grieve without giving up on joy. You are learning to carry memory not as a chain, but as a thread, one that can be woven gently into the fabric of your healing. This is the practice of mindfulness. This is the medicine of presence. When you feel the urge to spiral into memory, pause. Place your hand on your belly. Feel it rise and fall. You are here. You are now. This is your life, not the one you imagined, with them, not the one you replay over and over, but the one unfolding in this breath. In Zen, we speak of the beginner's mind, a mind uncluttered by past experience, open like the sky, curious like a child seeing the world for the first time. Can you meet this moment with that kind of wonder? Can you see your pain not as proof of loss, but as a portal to deeper self-knowing? Every heartbreak reveals something, what you value, where you are still healing, how deeply you can feel. That is not weakness. That is life. And life is always moving, even when you feel stuck. The seasons do not ask if you're ready. They simply turn. So let this night be a turning. Let this breath be the first leaf falling from a tree that has learned it can begin again. You are allowed to begin again. Not because you've erased your past, but because you've chosen not to live in it. There is a story of a monk who carried a heavy woman across a river because she was unable to walk through the current. Once across, she did not thank him, and he walked on in silence. Later, another monk asked why he seemed troubled. The monk said, "I put her down at the riverbank, but you're still carrying her." We do this with people too. We carry them long after they've left, not out of love, but out of habit. But now, it is time to set them down, not in anger, not in bitterness, but in grace. You do not have to carry what no longer walks with you. You do not have to keep opening a door that no one stands behind. Close it gently. Turn inward. What you seek from them: acknowledgement, apology, understanding, you can offer to yourself now. Forgive yourself for staying too long. Forgive yourself for not seeing clearly. Forgive yourself for needing them. That is part of the path too. The path of awakening is not clean or linear. It is often messy, circular, and full of moments when you forget only to remember again. So remember this: even when you fall back into thought, you can come back to breath. Even when you ache, you can also rest. Even when the wound feels fresh, healing is still happening quietly beneath the surface. There is no rush. There is only the rhythm of your heart. Let it guide you back home. Home to the self you forgot while staring at the closed door. Home to the breath that never left you. Home to the still point beneath the storm. You are not broken. You are breaking open. You are shedding layers, not losing self. You are becoming more you, not less. And as you lie here, you are not alone. All over the world, hearts are breaking and mending. Minds are racing and softening. Souls are returning to center. You are part of that great return. You are a wave in the great sea of becoming. And that is a beautiful thing. So let the night wrap around you like a cloak. Let your breath become the lullaby. Let yourself soften into the earth. You have nothing to do now, nowhere to be, no one to become. Just be here. Just be breath. Just be. The past cannot be changed, but the present is yours. Choose gentleness. Choose patience. Choose to hold yourself like you would hold a crying child, not with judgment, but with compassion. You are learning the language of self-love, and it begins here. With this silence, with this breath, with this soft surrender to the truth that everything changes, and yet you remain the witness, the breath, the presence. So lie back now. Let go a little more. The person you miss may never return, but you, dear soul, are already returning to yourself, to peace, to a life beyond their shadow. And that life is waiting, gently, patiently, just beyond this breath. There comes a moment in the night when everything becomes still, not because the world has stopped spinning, but because you have. The questions fall quiet. The memories soften. The ache becomes less sharp, more like a ripple than a wound. And in this hush, you finally hear what has been trying to reach you. You were never meant to live in chains forged by memory. You were never meant to hold on to someone who has already let go. You were never meant to sacrifice your peace for the ghost of connection. And yet you did. Out of love, out of longing, out of the simple human desire to feel wanted, needed, understood. There is no shame in that. But now, the time has come to gather yourself back, to collect the scattered pieces of your energy and bring them home. Not to a version of yourself from before, but to the self who has learned, the self who has endured, the self who is awakening. Do not confuse letting go with forgetting. You do not need to forget. You need to remember differently, not as someone abandoned, but as someone who has survived. Not as someone rejected, but as someone set free. Let that be the new narrative. You are not the one left behind. You are the one who stayed true to your heart even when it hurt. You are the one who chose softness in a world that often rewards hard edges. You are the one who showed up with your whole soul. And now, you are the one who will carry yourself forward, not because you must, but because you can. So breathe, deeper now. Feel the breath widen the space within you. Feel it stretch across the tight places. Let it move like light through every corridor of your being. You are not broken. You are becoming more whole with every breath. And this becoming does not require struggle. It only requires surrender. Can you surrender now? Not in defeat, but in trust. Trust that you are held. Trust that you are not behind. Trust that what is meant for you will never require you to beg for it. There is a story of the Buddha's disciples gathered around him, asking what to do when grief is overwhelming. The Buddha, in silence, held up a withered leaf. "See this," he said. "It too was once green. It too had its time. Now, it returns to the earth, not with sorrow, but with purpose. All things pass, and in their passing, they make room. And so it is with your sorrow. It is not a curse. It is a sign that something once mattered deeply. Let it return to the earth now. Let it become part of your compost, the rich soil in which your peace can grow. You do not need to resist the sorrow, but you must not let it harden into identity. You are not sorrow. You are the sky that holds it. You are not the pain. You are the witnesses to it. You are not the past. You are the breath that continues. Every teaching, every moment of silence you allow, is a stepping stone away from that old story. Not because the story didn't matter, but because you matter more. You have always mattered more. So let's remember now how it feels to choose yourself, to put your own hand on your chest and say, I am enough, even without them. I am complete even with this ache. I am whole even as I heal. Repeat it softly in your mind. Let the words settle into your nervous system like a warm tea. Let them become a song your cells begin to believe. And if the old thoughts return, if you hear their name, see their face, feel that familiar longing rise again, do not push it away. Smile at it. Welcome it like an old friend. Say, ah, there you are again. And then gently, gently release it. Let it pass like a bird across the sky, noticed but not chased. You are retraining your mind. You are rewiring the way you meet your inner world. This is the path of presence. This is the grace of the now. You may wonder when it will end this ache, but that is not the right question. The question is, what will you become while it still lingers? Because transformation doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It begins as now, in this breath, in this quiet act of saying, yes, this hurts, but I choose peace anyway. That is your power. That is your awakening. You are not here to perform strength. You are here to live truth, and the truth is strength is soft. Strength is choosing gentleness again and again when you want to close your heart. Strength is allowing the wound to breathe. Strength is walking forward with tears in your eyes and compassion in your hands. This is the strength you are cultivating. Not a rigid wall, but a rooted tree. Not an armored chest, but a brave, open heart. You will not always feel this way. The thoughts will not always return so loud. The memories will not always pierce so sharply. But even if they do, you are learning to greet them like a seasoned monk greets the weather. Aware, accepting, unshaken. Let that be your image tonight. You a temple in the storm. You steady amidst change. You lighting a small lamp in the vast darkness and whispering, I am still here. And truly, that is enough. That is more than enough. So now, as the night deepens, let your body soften into rest. Let your breath carry you deeper inward. There is nothing to fix, nothing to prove, nothing to do. Just be. You have done enough for today. You have thought enough. You have tried enough. Now is the time to let go, not of them, but of the story that you must hold on to them to stay whole. You are whole already. You are love with or without their echo. You are peace with or without their presence. And the more you remember this, the lighter you will feel, the freer you will move, the gentler you will sleep. So sleep now. Let the earth hold you. Let the night cover you. Let the silence wrap around you like a mother's arms. You are safe. You are seen. You are not alone. And tomorrow, when you wake, you will carry this stillness with you. Not as a task, but as a truth, that no one can take from you what lives inside you. And what lives inside you now is a garden waiting to bloom. As you begin to settle deeper into yourself, there is one more layer that longs to be seen, the habit of returning. Not just returning to thoughts of them, but returning to the emotional patterns they represented. The doubt, the craving, the needing to be chosen. You may have thought it was just about that one person, but now you are beginning to see they were a mirror, not a cause. A mirror that reflected a longing that existed long before they arrived. Perhaps since childhood, perhaps passed down generationally, perhaps shaped by a moment when you felt invisible or not enough. And so when they looked at you with warmth, when they saw something in you that you had not yet seen in yourself, it felt like salvation. But was it really them? Or was it the hope they represented? Was it the possibility that finally you might be whole? When you dwell on them now, you are not just remembering their voice or their eyes. You are remembering a version of yourself who believed for a moment that you were worthy. And that is why it hurts to let go. Not because they were perfect, but because you attached your own light to their presence. So, let us reclaim that light now, not by fighting the memories, but by walking through them with new eyes. See yourself in those moments not as desperate or foolish, but as a soul reaching toward healing in the only way it knew how. Forgive that version of you. Thank them. They were trying. They loved in the best way they could. And now you are becoming the version of you who does not seek completion in another's gaze. You are learning to see yourself. That is the real journey. Not to forget them, but to stop abandoning yourself when you remember them. So now, when the thoughts return, ask, what part of me is calling out right now? What does this longing want me to notice? It may be loneliness. It may be grief. It may be the simple ache of a human heart that wants to belong. Do not dismiss these feelings. Do not rush to silence them. They are not enemies. They are signals. Teachers, let them speak. Let them rise like clouds and dissolve when ready. You are not obligated to hold on to any of it, but you are invited to witness all of it. This is mindfulness. This is presence. There is a teaching in Buddhism that says the pain is not the problem. Clinging to it is. So what would happen if you simply allowed the pain to pass through? No gripping, no storytelling, no blaming, just breath and space. A bird flies overhead. You do not try to catch it. A breeze moves through your window. You do not chase it away. Let your pain be like this. Let it have its time, its flight, and then its departure. You may think, but if I don't hold on to this pain, who will remember what I went through? And the answer is, you will. But you will remember it differently, with softness, with wisdom, with the dignity of one who has walked through fire and come out with a deeper soul. That is the transformation now occurring in you. You are not losing yourself. You are shedding what no longer serves. And yes, that might include the fantasy you once clung to, the idea that only they could give you the peace you crave. But peace was never theirs to give. It has always been waiting in you, patient and still. So, let's return to that peace now. Begin with the body. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. Let your breath deepen. Feel yourself here safe, rooted, whole. Say gently to yourself, I am not chasing anymore. I am not waiting anymore. I am arriving. Arriving where? In this moment, in this breath, in this space where nothing is missing. You may not believe it yet, but belief is not required, only practice. Practice showing up for yourself again and again until the self you meet feels like home. There is a story of a monk who once carried a bowl of water in front of his face for 3 days, trying not to spill a drop. When asked why, he said, "This is how I learned to hold my thoughts. Carefully, gently, without letting them pour over everything." Let this image stay with you. You do not have to stop thinking about them. You only need to hold the thought without spilling into reaction. There you are, you say. And here I am, holding you gently, not gripping. This is the art of freedom. You will not find peace by controlling every thought. You will find peace by relating to your thoughts differently, more kindly, less urgently, with reverence for your own heart. You have been through so much. You have tried so hard. You have loved so deeply. Now is the time to rest, not because your work is over, but because your work is shifting from effort to ease, from seeking to seeing, from grasping to trusting. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are simply here learning, feeling, breathing. And what a miracle that is. You once thought their presence gave your life meaning. But now you see meaning arises when you pay attention to your breath, to your body, to your being. So pay attention now to the sensations in your chest, the softness of your inhale, the warmth behind your eyes. This is you alive and awakening. There is no better story than this. Not a romance, not a reunion, not a redemption arc written by someone else. This is the true story, you turning inward and finding gold. You loving yourself where it once hurt. You resting into being instead of performing for love. There is no rush. You can let this unfold slowly, like petals opening, like waves arriving at shore, like a heart healing in the quiet. And if tonight the ache returns, if you find yourself once again thinking of them, just remember, this is not regression. This is remembering. And every time you remember, you have the chance to choose again, to choose presence, to choose compassion, to choose the version of you who knows you were never waiting for them. You were waiting for you. And now, here you are, whole, breathing, enough. There is a moment, often unnoticed, when the grip of memory begins to loosen, not because the past has changed, but because you have. That moment comes not with fanfare. but with stillness. It might arrive as a breath you finally follow to its end, or the sudden realization that you haven't thought about them for hours. It doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean they didn't matter. It means your suffering no longer defines your present. That is a sacred milestone. You did not force it. You did not rush it. You simply stayed. You stayed through the storms of longing, through the restless nights and echoing silences, through the dreams that stirred up old hopes and the mornings that felt hollow. You stayed, and now the wind has shifted. But be careful not to mistake this gentle relief as a need to judge the past. You were never weak for missing them. You were not foolish for believing in them. You were human. You loved, and that love was honest. That it hurt does not invalidate its truth. There is a quiet strength in grieving what was in honoring it without needing to rewrite it. Too often, we think we must hate what we once held dear to move on. But Buddhism teaches that aversion is simply another form of clinging. You can let go without resentment. You can part ways with kindness. You can bless the path that led you here, even if it was paved with ache. Perhaps that's the greatest act of awakening, to see pain clearly and bow to it. Not because it was deserved, but because it was real, and it shaped you. You are not what happened to you, but you are also not untouched by it. You carry the imprint, and within it, the choice: how will you now respond to life? Will you remain closed, guarded, rehearsing your grief like a script, or will you soften? Will you let life touch you again? Not in the same way, but in a wiser one. The world is still offering itself to you. The trees are still breathing. The sky still opens. The sun still rises, even on days when you don't feel like it should. Let these be your companions now, not as distractions, but as reminders that life continues and you are still part of it. If you listen closely, you will hear their language. The rustle of leaves saying, "Let it fall," the river whispering, "Flow onward," the birds calling, "Start again." These are not metaphors, they are invitations, and you are allowed to accept them. No, not just allowed, you are ready. Ready to live, not in spite of your wounds, but alongside them. Ready to stop measuring your progress by how much you forget, and instead by how deeply you remember without losing yourself. This is resilience, not hardening, but returning again and again to softness, to breath, to presence. You may still wonder, but what if they come back? What if they say they're sorry? The mind will ask. That is its nature. But the wiser part of you knows you don't need that answer right now. You only need to be here. Healing does not mean preparing for their return. It means no longer needing it. And that space, that freedom, is a kind of rebirth. In Zen, there is a saying, "When the mind is clear, the path appears." You do not need to chase clarity. Just stop muddying the water. Stop stirring the lake of your thoughts. Let it settle. Let it still. Then see what remains. Perhaps it is not peace you are chasing, but the absence of inner war. So, lay down your weapons. Stop fighting the truth of what was. You are not here to win a battle against memory. You are here to embrace the now, to sit in the center of your own being and say, even with everything that's happened, I am still here. And I am choosing love. Not the love that waits to be returned, not the love that breaks you with its absence, but the love that remains when all else falls away. The love that simply is, that watches, that breathes, that forgives, that holds you like the earth holds rain, quietly, completely, without question. Can you trust that love? Can you let it become your foundation, not your escape? Because that love is what you've always been seeking. In them, in your memories, in the future you imagined. But now here it is within you, asking to be known. So let it in. Let it guide you through the days that still sting the songs, that still trigger the anniversaries that echo with silence. Let it remind you, this too shall pass. Not because you forget, but because you grow. Each tear shed has softened something inside you. Each night spent longing has taught you presence. Each unanswered message has deepened your faith not in them, but in yourself. You are not a tragedy. You are a traveler. And this sorrow was just one stop on your journey, not your final destination. So keep walking. Keep breathing. Keep tending to the small, quiet joys, the taste of warm tea, the feeling of sheets against your skin, the sound of your own voice saying, I'm okay, and meaning it, even if just for a moment. These are your anchors now. These are your rituals of return. You do not need grand transformations. You need only to meet yourself again and again with gentleness. And when the thought of them arises, and it will greet, not as an intruder, but as a guest who has overstayed, smile and say, thank you for visiting, but I live here now, and I am learning peace. This is the letting go that does not sever, but sets free. This is the forgiveness that does not excuse, but releases. This is the beginning that looks like an ending, but holds within it the entire sky. So, rest, beloved one. Rest in the truth that you are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where healing begins, aware, awake, and willing to stay. Stay with the breath. Stay with the silence. Stay with the you who is becoming whole, not because they returned, but because you did. There is a space between the longing and the forgetting. And in that space, you are quietly learning to breathe again. It is not that the memory has disappeared or that the feelings have been erased. They still visit you in waves, sometimes gentle, sometimes overwhelming. But you no longer collapse when they come. This too is growth. You used to believe that healing meant reaching a place where their name no longer stirred anything in you. But now, you understand healing is not about erasure, it is about integration. You don't need to scrub your heart clean of the past. You only need to make room for what is present. And right now, what is present is you sitting with your thoughts, breathing, with your whole chest acknowledging the ghost that no longer rules you. There is a teaching in Buddhism about the middle way, not clinging, not rejecting. You learn to walk this path, not by striving, but by returning. Returning to what? To this moment, to this inhale, to this single beat of silence in which everything is already enough. You were never asked to become perfect. You were only invited to become real. And realness means feeling things fully without being consumed by them. You are not avoiding the pain. You are witnessing it with spaciousness. You are not denying your memories. You are letting them pass like clouds across the sky. And when the sky becomes heavy, when grief gathers like thunder, you remind yourself, storms pass. They always pass. You don't have to fix the weather of your heart. You only have to shelter in awareness until the sky clears. This is the teaching of presence. The more you resist your emotions, the more tangled they become. But when you sit with them, simply noticing something shifts. The sorrow loses its sharpness. The craving loses its urgency. The story loses its grip. Suddenly, you are no longer trapped in the narrative of loss. You are grounded in the truth of aliveness. Feel your body right now. The breath entering, the breath leaving. The earth beneath you holding you. The quiet hum of existence that has never abandoned you. Even when your thoughts wandered to the past, your body remained here, waiting for your return. This is why the breath is sacred. It never lies. It never leaves. It never judges. It simply invites you home again and again. And when you follow it, you begin to see what was once hidden, that your pain, while valid, is not your identity. That your longing, while deep, is not your future. That your heart, while broken, is still beating, still able to love, still able to hope, still able to begin. There is no shame in beginning again. In fact, it is the most courageous thing you can do. To stand in the ashes of what once was and whisper, I'm still here. I'm still open. Not open to repeating the past, but open to what's next. Open to the unknown. Open to joy, not because it is guaranteed, but because you are no longer afraid of its impermanence. That is what Buddhist wisdom teaches. Everything changes. Everything ends. And from that ending, something new arises. The same way winter gives way to spring. The same way night softens into dawn. You are not stuck. You are simply becoming. And becoming is not linear. Some days you will feel full of light. Others you will fall back into the ache. But every return is an opportunity to meet yourself more gently, to hold yourself more wisely. Stop measuring your progress with timelines. Stop comparing your journey to others. Your healing is not a race. It is a rhythm, like the tide, like the breath. Sometimes rushing in, sometimes pulling back. Both are necessary. Both are sacred. And in between them, you learn the art of patience. The patience to let go of outcomes. The patience to trust that your heart knows the way, even when your mind panics. The patience to allow love, not the one you lost, but the one that is always available. The love of presence. The love of truth. The love of simply being. Right now, can you feel it? Not in grand gestures, but in quiet things. The softness of air on your skin. The weight of your body against the floor. The subtle hum of silence that says you are not alone. Even in your solitude, there is communion. With the trees, with the sky, with the unseen forces that hold you when you cannot hold yourself. This is not fantasy. This is not denial. This is what happens when you finally pause and listen. Life speaks in whispers. It does not shout over your mind. But when your thoughts quiet even for a moment, the truth emerges. You are whole. not because nothing was broken, but because wholeness was never about perfection. It was about embracing every crack, every scar, every shattered piece as part of the mosaic that is you. You are not here to return to who you were before the heartbreak. You are here to become who you've always been beneath the noise. This is the gift of sorrow. It strips away illusion. It teaches you what matters. It humbles you. And in that humility, a new strength grows. A quiet strength. The kind that doesn't need to prove itself. The kind that knows I can sit with any feeling. I can stay through any storm. I can return to peace, not because life is easy, but because I am anchored. And what is that anchor? It is mindfulness. It is the still point within you that watches everything come and go, without chasing, without resisting. It is the monk inside you, sitting silently, bowing to whatever arises. It is the truth that says, no matter what happens outside, I am safe within. And when you live from that place, you no longer fear loss. You no longer grasp for what has left. You no longer cling to what might come. You simply dwell in this breath, in this body, in this now. And from that dwelling, peace blooms. Not loud, not flashy, but deep, like roots, like silence, like love that asks nothing in return. So rest here. Rest in the knowing that you don't have to become someone new to be worthy. You only have to remember who you are when the noise fades. You are not broken. You are blooming. You are not behind. You are arriving. You are not too much. You are just enough. Let these words settle in your bones. Let them be the lullaby that rocks you into stillness. You've searched for answers outside for so long, but now you know the answer is not a person. The answer is not a future. The answer is presence. It is always now, and now is enough. There is a moment in the hush between thoughts where everything is already whole. You don't need to add anything. You don't need to change. You don't even need to understand. You just need to be. And in that being, something quiet but powerful emerges, a knowing beyond the mind, a peace beyond explanation. You've come far already. Each breath you've taken in awareness has softened a little of the hardness. Each time you've stayed with discomfort, without fleeing, you've reclaimed a part of yourself. And now, in this gentle unfolding, you begin to see how little needs to be done. Healing, as you've discovered, is not a task. It's a surrender, a softening into what is, a letting go of what was never yours to carry. And here, in the warmth of your breath and the tenderness of your own presence, you are finally safe enough to see clearly. What do you see? That the person you once longed for is no longer a figure of salvation. They are simply human, full of flaws and fears, just like you. Just like that the story you wrote about your worth, wrapped around their acceptance or rejection, was never true. That your value is not defined by their love, their presence, or their silence. You are valuable because you exist, because you breathe, because you feel. In Buddhism, there is a teaching. Nothing is to be clung to as I, me, or mine. At first, that sounds like loss, but the more you sit with it, the more it sounds like freedom. When you no longer cling, you are no longer bound. And when you are not bound, you can love without fear, live without pretending, and let go without collapsing. Imagine holding a bird in your hand. If you squeeze too tightly, you harm it. If you open your palm, it may fly away, or it may rest there freely. This is true of people, of dreams, of all things. When you release the grip of fear and need, life finds its own rhythm again. So, loosen your grasp. You don't need to control how the story ends. You don't even need to know where it goes. You only need to trust that whatever leaves creates space for what's next. And what's next may not be grand. It may be subtle, a softening in your chest, a quiet joy when sunlight hits your face, a tiny seed of hope that blooms unexpectedly. This too is love, not the consuming kind, but the steady kind, the kind that does not rush, that does not beg, that does not bargain, the kind that simply is. And you deserve that kind, not just from others, but from yourself. Are you willing to love yourself with the same patience, the same gentleness, the same grace? Can you forgive yourself for the nights you cried over someone who couldn't stay? Can you honor the version of you that loved fully even when it hurt? Can you meet yourself now, not as a project to be fixed, but as a being to be held? Because you are not a mistake. Your feelings were not wrong. Your attachments were not shameful. You were just learning. And learning often looks like falling. But every fall was a lesson. Every heartbreak was a turning point. Every goodbye was a beginning in disguise. There's a saying in Zen: before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. What does that mean? That the outer tasks may not change, but the inner experience transforms. You may still feel sadness. You may still remember. But now you hold those memories with spaciousness. Now you breathe through the ache instead of becoming it. Now you wake not searching for someone else, but greeting yourself. And that is a miracle. To greet yourself in the morning with compassion. To walk through your day with presence. To lie down at night with no need to escape. This is not forgetting. This is integrating. The past becomes part of your path, not your prison. The pain becomes part of your wisdom, not your identity. And slowly, the grip of longing loosens, not because you forced it away, but because you no longer need it to define you. You realize, I can feel love and still let go. I can miss and still move forward. I can cherish and still choose myself. This is the paradox of healing. It is not about cutting out emotion, but about becoming vast enough to hold it all. You are the sky, not the weather. You are the awareness, not the thought. You are the stillness, not the storm. And from this stillness, you begin to live again, not from lack, but from fullness. You notice the beauty in the small things, the way wind moves through leaves, the softness of your blanket, the rhythm of your own breathing. These are not distractions. These are invitations to return, to remember, to rest. Even now, you may feel waves of old stories rise. That's okay. Don't resist them. Don't cling to them. Just notice. Just breathe. Let the wave rise. Let the wave fall. And in the space between, anchor in presence. That is your true home. Not in the past, not in the future, but right here. Right now. This moment is enough. You don't have to solve anything. You don't have to achieve peace. You only have to stop running. Sit with what is. Feel the ground. Feel the breath. Feel the life that pulses through you. You are not alone. Even in your quietest hour, you are part of something vast. Something that holds all things. Something that whispers, you are already okay. That whisper may be soft, but it is real. And the more you listen, the louder it becomes, not in volume, but in truth. You were never meant to be perfect. You were only meant to be present. And presence is enough. Presence is the beginning of love. Presence is the end of suffering. Presence is what remains when everything else falls away. So stay here. Stay with your breath. Stay with the stillness that knows even when the mind forgets. Stay with the you who is no longer chasing, no longer hiding, no longer grasping. Stay because you are worth staying for, and if you forget tomorrow, come back again. There is no shame in returning. The path is always open. The breath is always waiting. The silence is always listening. And your heart, your brave, soft, tired heart, is always ready to begin again. You are beginning to understand now that healing is not about fixing yourself, but about remembering who you were before the noise, before the stories, before the longing twisted your view of your own soul. You are not broken, and you never were. You are simply covered in layers, expectations, disappointments, beliefs borrowed from others. And as you breathe, as you soften those layers, begin to fall away. And what remains is clear, calm, awake. Not because everything is perfect, but because you've stopped demanding perfection. Not because pain disappears, but because you no longer fear it. There is something inside you that is untouched by the world, something deeper than memory, older than identity. It watches without judging. It feels without clinging. It grieves without drowning. This is the quiet center of your being, and you're meeting it again, perhaps for the first time in a long time. So many years were spent trying to control the uncontrollable, trying to make someone love you, trying to rewrite the past, trying to outthink your own heart. But now you are learning the art of letting go, not as defeat, but as liberation. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean denying it. It means loosening the chain of identification. That thought about them. It's just a thought. That wave of sadness. It's just a wave. That memory of what could have been. It's just an echo. None of these are you. You are the one watching. The one who can feel and release. The one who can notice without being swept away. The one who can return to the breath, to the body, to the present moment. And every time you return, you are strengthening your freedom. You are creating space between what arises and how you respond. This is the essence of mindfulness, not to stop the mind, but to stop being its captive. You may notice the same stories come back again and again, like visitors knocking at the door. Some of them wear the face of someone you once loved. Some whisper the old wounds. Some shout about what should have happened. And you, with your new presence, simply open the door, smile gently, and say, "I see you." You don't fight. You don't invite them in. You simply see, and in that seeing they begin to dissolve. This is what it means to be free, not to escape the world, but to meet it with so much awareness that nothing can bind you. Not even love if it turns into clinging, not even grief if it turns into identity. You are free to feel, and free to release, free to remember, and free to live forward. And with that freedom comes a new kind of love, one that isn't about possession, but about presence. One that isn't about needing, but about being. You begin to love the sky, not for its consistency, but for its openness. You begin to love yourself, not for what you can offer, but for who you are when you're simply breathing. You begin to love others, not to fill a hole inside, but from the overflow of peace within. This love doesn't cling. It doesn't chase. It holds loosely, trusts deeply, and releases gently. It's the love of a still pond that reflects everything and distorts nothing. It's the love of a mountain that welcomes all seasons and resists none. Can you feel it rising in you now? Not as an emotion, but as a state of being. The love that arises from stillness. The compassion that grows from acceptance. The kindness that comes from no longer being at war with yourself. You are arriving into your own heart, or no longer begging at the door of another's. You are seeing clearly, perhaps for the first time, that you never had to earn your worth. You never had to be chosen by someone else to be complete. You only had to wake up from the illusion that you were missing anything. And in this wakefulness, even sorrow becomes sacred. Even longing becomes a teacher. Even silence becomes a friend. When you sit with yourself long enough, you begin to notice the simple things, the rhythm of your breath, the sound of wind, the softness of your pillow, the way your body sighs when you finally let go. And these small things, often overlooked, are the gateways to joy. Not the kind of joy that shouts, but the kind that hums quietly beneath all experience. The joy of being, the joy of enough, the joy of presence. And this joy becomes your companion walking beside you through memories, through thoughts, through the spaces where someone else used to live. You don't need to evict them from your mind. You only need to stop giving them all your attention. Let them fade naturally, as all things do. As seasons turn, as rivers flow, as night gives way to morning. Don't rush your healing. Don't demand silence from your heart. Just keep breathing. Keep watching. Keep returning. And slowly, you will find that what once hurt becomes soft. What once screamed becomes quiet. What once felt like loss becomes space for something new. And maybe, just maybe, that something new is you, more whole, more present, more peaceful than you ever thought possible. The one who doesn't need to be loved to feel love, the one who doesn't need to be seen to see clearly, the one who walks gently through life not because it is easy, but because they are no longer fighting every step. This is your path, not a perfect one, not a straight one, but a true one. In each breath you take an awareness, each moment you choose presence over story, each time you meet yourself without judgment, you are walking that path. Not towards something, but into something, the vastness of now. And in this now, everything is enough. You are enough. You are not what you lost. You are not what they couldn't give. You are not your mistakes, your memories, your regrets. You are the awareness that holds all of that with tenderness and still smiles. So rest here. Let the stories soften. Let the heart be held. Let the breath guide you home. There is nothing more to fix. There is only this breath, this silence, this stillness. And in it, the truth that has always been waiting. You are already whole. You may begin to sense that what once felt like a war inside you is finally becoming quiet. Not because you've conquered anything, not because the memories have vanished, but because you no longer hold the sword. You've stopped fighting the thoughts. You've stopped wrestling the feelings. Instead, you sit with them like old friends who no longer frighten you. The person who used to haunt your mind, maybe they still visit, but now you do not open the door so wide. You let the knock come. You hear the sound, and then you return to your breath, to your body, to the presence that never left you. This is how the wound begins to close, not by forgetting, but by no longer clinging. When you give up resistance, you give space for healing. When you stop replaying the story, you stop feeding it energy. And without energy, even the sharpest sorrow fades into mist. You're learning now to be still in the storm, to be soft in the fire, to be kind to the aching parts of you that once only knew how to scream. This kindness is not weakness, it is strength. The strength to sit with yourself, to feel fully, to not flinch in the face of your own truth. You've lived long enough, chasing peace outside you. Now you've turned inward, and you've discovered something much greater. A peace that doesn't depend on anyone's approval. A silence that holds you when the world is too loud. A stillness that doesn't break no matter what changes around you. In this stillness, the old questions begin to dissolve. You stop asking, why did they leave? And begin asking, what part of me still needs love? You stop asking, when will I be over this? And begin asking, how can I care for myself right now? These questions don't seek control. They seek truth. And truth doesn't rush. Truth doesn't demand. Truth whispers through the breath, through the body, through the simple act of not abandoning yourself again. You are here. You are breathing. You are present. That is enough. You don't have to be healed to be whole. You don't have to have closure to have peace. Closure is not something they give you. It's something you offer yourself gently, like a final bow to the past. And when you bow, you are not losing. You are honoring what was while choosing what is. You are saying thank you for the lesson. Now, I release the story. And from that release space is born space for rest, space for breath, space for joy, to quietly return not with trumpets, but like sunlight through the blinds. No one sees the exact moment night becomes morning, but you feel it slowly, gently, a shift that comes not with force, but with patience. So too, your heart is shifting. The shadows are lifting. The longing is softening. And in its place, clarity. You begin to see yourself not as broken, but as blooming. Not as abandoned, but as awakening. You realize that all the love you were searching for was always within reach, because it was always inside you. You needed to lose them, perhaps to find yourself. You needed to be emptied, perhaps to discover the fullness of your own being. And now, in the quiet, you are remembering who you were before the ache, who you are beneath the fear, who you can be beyond the past. This is not a rebirth. It is a return to presence, to peace, to the pure awareness that has always waited patiently for you to come home. And here you are, finally resting, not because everything is fixed, but because you've stopped trying to fix yourself. You've remembered that the moon does not rush to shine. The tide does not force itself to rise. Everything in nature flows, and now so do you. You've walked a long path through your mind, through memories sharp as glass and thoughts that looped like vines. You've sat with grief in the silence of night, held your breath through waves of missing, and waited for peace, like waiting for rain in drought. But now, something has changed, not outside, but inside. A soft knowing begins to settle in your chest, not a loud answer, not a sudden miracle, but a quiet truth that pulses with each breath. You are not your pain. You never were. You are the one who feels it, who witnesses it, who outlives it, and that makes you vast. That makes you free. In this freedom, there is no need to rush healing, no need to prove you've moved on, no need to pretend that something didn't hurt just because time has passed. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering differently. It means the wound becomes a doorway and the sorrow becomes soil. You plant your presence there, and slowly, gently, something grows. Not the person you were before, but someone wiser, someone softer, someone who carries the same past, but walks with a different rhythm. You understand now that thoughts will come and go, like clouds drifting across a wide sky. But you are not the clouds, you are the sky. Boundless, watching, at peace. The person who once haunted you, they are no longer a monster. Just a face, a name, a moment in the river of your life. The current moves forward, and so do you. The mind may pull you back at times like a tide reaching for the shore, but now you know the way home. You return to the breath, to the body, to the now. Again and again, like a prayer, like a drum beat. You've learned not to grip the past so tightly that your hands forget how to receive the present. You've learned to welcome stillness without fear of what might arise. Because even when old pain stirs, you sit with it like an old friend. No judgment, no shame, just presence. That's the power you've cultivated, an unwavering ability to stay. To stay when the mind screams. To stay when the heart aches. To stay when all you want is escape. And in that staying, you've discovered your strength. Not the kind that fights or resists, but the kind that opens. The kind that breathes. The kind that loves what is without needing it to be different. This strength is not loud. It is not armor. It is a soft gaze, a steady breath, a choice to return to yourself even when the world pulls you away. You've become the safe place you were searching for, the comfort you begged others to give, the anchor in the storm, the still point in the spinning. And now, as you lie here, body melting into rest, you feel it, a sacred quiet blooming within. Not emptiness, but fullness. Not silence, but peace. The kind of peace that doesn't need anything to change. The kind that holds sorrow and joy in the same hand. The kind that whispers, "You made it through." Let that whisper wrap around you now. Let it soothe every tense place. Let it soften the forehead, the jaw, the belly. Let the breath deepen. Let the eyes grow heavy. You don't need to think anymore. You don't need to solve or plan or remember. All you need to do is be right here, right now, as the breath rises and falls, as the body sinks into the earth. Feel the last traces of tension leave you. Feel the mind begin to quiet like a lake at dusk. Feel the heart open like a flower in moonlight. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to hold. Only this moment, only this breath, only this sleep deep and healing like the stillness of a mountain beneath the stars. Rest now, dear one. Rest in the knowing that you are not broken. Rest in the truth that peace is already here. Rest in the warmth of your own presence, vast and gentle. The thoughts may return, but you will not be carried away. You've learned the way back. You've learned to walk the path inward, and now all that remains is this: to sleep, to let go, to be held in breath, in stillness, in love.